welcome to Doors and Corners, a sci-fi and fantasy film commentary podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach. And every Friday we sit down and watch a science fiction or fantasy film and give our 2 cents on its quality, production, story, and trivia.
We watch the film together, but without sounds or visuals provided to avoid copyright issues. But if you do have access, we encourage you to join us and follow along.
Here, we like to keep things casual, and there may be discussions of spoilers or sensitive materials or language. But we do try and keep things clean and family-friendly. Ultimately, the goal of this podcast is to create the experience of us all sitting down and watching this movie together.
So get ready to hit that play button, because we're about to get started.
Damn Doors and Corners, I mean, that's where they get you.
Well, welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian.
I'm Zach. And Brian, before we get started, does anybody want to get off?
Man, this movie, man. Winter Soldier. So this will be our last, for a little bit, of MCU Phase 2. We will be back shortly, but we're going to kind of cap off this opening trilogy of movies of Phase 2 with Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I know it's my favorite movie in the entire MCU. Is it still yours?
Yes, this is my... I think that this is the best movie in the MCU by and large, and it's the one... There's a couple, I should say, that I can watch over and over and over again, including this, Infinity War, Doctor Strange, to a lesser extent, Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok. And
the first Guardians for you.
And the first Guardians, that's a big one as well.
Okay, but say, yeah, because that one's next, right? When we come back into this. Yeah. This was a good one too, to have this and then Guardians. It's like, goodness. But yeah,
this was like the heyday of the MCU. This is when everything was kind of like, everybody was suddenly excited for the MCU because of this.
Yeah, well, and I think these also really, because Iron Man 3 was a huge box office success. But there was definitely a mixed, to just be generous and call it a mixed response to that by the fans. And then Thor: Dark World wasn't hated, but people didn't love it. And I think if you had another one like that, it might have been. But then you kind of you had this and then Guardians, and just kind of kept things like very energized. I think it really also helped the idea that when you had a weaker film, Marvel fans during this time would be like, it's fine, just get to the next movie, it's gonna be great again. And I think this and Guardians were a big part of why a lot of the films that were more on the average side during the first 3 phases of the MCU didn't slow it down that much, because people had these movies that just kept them, the highs were so high that people would stay excited for the whole thing, despite little lulls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this movie, I didn't have a lot of expectation for this movie. I didn't know the comic book very much. What's that?
No, okay. I was going to bring that up. I had zero expectation for this movie. I hated the trailers. There were some things in the trailers that looked cool. I had no idea what the movie was about. I wasn't seeing a major villain. I wasn't seeing any, you had glimpses of the Winter Soldier and stuff like that, but it's just there was no cohesiveness to the trailers. And part of that is the fact that they really couldn't without revealing the big twist of the movie.
Yeah.
So I get it in retrospect, but I didn't give a crap about this movie. One, because I didn't like the whole Winter Soldier aspect. This movie changed my mind on that, mind you. Not necessarily in the comics. I didn't like how they did it in the comics in some ways. I found the character annoying and derivative. And just, copying the Red Hood. And it's just... I had very low expectation for this movie. So when the first reaction started to come out, because I remember it was a Collider at the time, okay? They'd have this thing. Or it'd be first reactions for this movie, and you go on there and it's a page and it's full of tweets that people put out they're allowed to talk about, from major reviewers, and every single one of them was absolutely glowing. And I'm just maybe we'll give this one a go, and maybe it's gonna be all right. And then I went and saw it, and I saw it opening night. It was a Thursday night. I was just flabbergasted, just blown away. And it has remained since then one of my absolute favorites.
Now, another question for you, because I would be surprised if you had. Have you ever actually seen 3 Days of the Condor?
What's that?
Okay. Are you being a little sarcastic, or do you actually have no idea?
No, I genuinely don't know what that is.
3 Days of the Condor is a incredibly famous espionage thriller film starring Robert Redford from the 70s, cited as a major influence on this film. And it was a big deal when they got Robert Redford to come and play a role in this film, because they were heavily inspired by one of the films that kind of made his career, along with like Butch Cassidy, and there was one or two other respect there. But like
I thought the big one was, in terms of this movie and Robert Redford, was All the President's Men, about the Nixon Watergate scandal. Because they even have like 2 direct references to that movie in this.
That was there also, but 3 Days of the Condor is the entire, like, your own organization is betraying you. You're on the run. You're a man and a woman who may or may not be, because they kind of have a little bit of flirting in this movie, like massive influence from 3 Days of the Condor. And Robert Redford is the guy on the run who's betrayed by his own organization, the CIA, in 3 Days of the Condor. It is for its era, like you have to understand you're watching a 70s movie when you go back to it, but it's well done. And what's funny is I didn't see it till after I saw this movie, and I was like, I can see where they got a lot of their ideas. By no means is it like a remake, but heavy inspiration. But yes, All the President's Men is also, Robert Redford was a big get for this film. And he's somebody who he passed away just like less than a year ago, I think, as of recording this. Yeah, I really liked him as an actor. He did some really interesting things. He had this kind of that old school Hollywood thing going on that is not very common these days. And I'm probably a little more romantic on old Hollywood than you are. I'm sure of it. But
a little bit, but I'm not entirely aromantic about it either.
Yeah, but Redford, I think, was one of those just kind of old school Hollywood leading men who just kind of had that quality. But I was interested if you had ever seen it, but apparently not.
No, don't know anything about it.
But this movie, I'll just throw this out there because you're not going to hear a lot of critiques from this movie. I know you said you were going to look for things to critique in this movie, and that's totally fine. That's part of what we're doing. My only real critique of this film is that I think that it throws out some interesting ideas, and when it comes to the greater implications of kind of society and freedom and surveillance, and other than a few lines that make you kind of think it's being deep, really doesn't go anywhere with it. When we get to Age of Ultron, I have very similar thoughts about that. But the rest of the movie is so good, I don't really care. If that makes sense. I think that they could have.
It very much does, because I completely agree with you on it. As one of my big critiques of Marvel, and when I get some pushback when I say that some of my favorite superhero movies of this era are Black Panther and Wonder Woman. Okay. Largely because those have been propped up as political ideologies, when in and of themselves they're actually very good movies. Yeah. But one of the reasons why I hold to those is because they introduce a thought, but by the end of the movie, even if Wonder Woman does it a little bit clumsily, they finish the thought.
Yes.
They actually commit to the ideal, they follow through with it, and they have that moment where the character makes a definitive statement on this thought-provoking comment. To say, this is where we went wrong. This is what we're doing wrong, and this is how we fix it. Versus something like this movie, and Captain America Civil War, and Age of Ultron, and Batman vs. Superman, and Man of Steel, and Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2, and a couple of these other things. And 4 of those movies all end in we're putting aside that ideal for you killed my mother. Which is just a huge...
It's weird.
Splinter in my mind. But it's just like this movie has a little bit more weight to it than those other ones, where they all introduce the idea and then it all just kind of falls apart in an action-y finale. Where this one, it does push it a little bit more. There is some commentary that you can say that, okay, they did take the idea and they sort of say, when you feel that things are going too far, you need to do something about it.
Blow it all up.
But, that's kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie, yeah, I agree. It by no means is it bad on that area. It's just, a lot of people, they love the whole, this isn't freedom, this is fear line. And it's a good line. It's delivered well. It's done in a good setting. But the movie doesn't, explore that idea in an interesting way. But it manages to, and this is the one thing that I think that Cap and I know that Civil War is guilty of the whole "you killed my mom" thing there, but the one thing that this does really well, and Civil War also does, is these characters were so strong and the acting choices on them were so just solid that you get to those end moments where you have the connection between Steve and Bucky. And you do have Steve showcasing the fact that he will literally burn S.H.I.E.L.D. to the ground on principle. That, and the same thing with Civil War. They do establish that Steve, and he's not a perfect character by any means, and he's got his flaws, but he is a man of when he decides, that's it, and he's just he's not somebody who's empty talk, and
it's for that reason. That he does make that decision and he follows through with this isn't freedom, this is fear, and wanting to push that. And you have his little speech there at the end, which is kind of a nothing burger, but at the same time, with that active decision that they make, there's even that scene with him and Nick Fury that we'll get to, of course, where he's just nope, it all goes. That I don't put this movie into the same level of obnoxious non-messages as Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Age of Ultron, and Civil War. Because they introduce these ideas, they put it in your head, and then they're just talk about it later.
Yeah. No, this is definitely, I would call it a B+ in that regard. It definitely didn't get into A territory, but it wasn't like those other movies, were anywhere from B- to kind of C- and kind of how they, got, what they did. But what we will talk about, I'm sure, at length, is this was the movie that, as much as I adore First Avenger, it's very, very special to me. This movie made everybody, sit up and go, oh, dang, Cap can get some stuff done. to quote the Honest Trailer, he did not skip leg day.
No, he did not.
This movie elevated the stunt choreography and action of the MCU. And we were talking about before we started recording. I mean, this along with some other films, some of them in and out of the genre, just really stepped up what people would come to expect when it comes to stunt work and fight choreography. Because this has some of the best hand-to-hand, not just for a superhero film, this has some of the best hand-to-hand, choreography of any film in this era. I mean, the stuff that gets past it is, I think maybe The Raid and some of the stuff straight out of Asia were probably a little better, if you're being really fair on purely the choreography. But for the West, this was a bump in quality we hadn't seen in a long time. I mean,
the closest thing that I can think of even coming close to it up until this point, because this was 2014, which is the same year that John Wick came out, which had a very similar revitalization, because we had introduced something, especially with the Bourne series, with the shaky cam.
Yeah.
And that was able to allow a lot of laziness to enter into the fight choreography in Hollywood.
Yeah, just fix it in post.
Yeah, because the closest thing that I can think of before this is The Matrix, okay? Especially the third one, or actually just all of them in general, because they would have those long takes of these guys doing these insane fight choreography without the shaky cam.
Yeah,
and
you let the camera actually show the actors putting the work in. I mean, Keanu famously puts the work in, right? And
and so does Chris Evans. Yeah. Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan, they threw themselves wholeheartedly into this. I also would want to shout out Anthony Mackie, The work that he put into getting ready for this is nuts. The dude was committed, and he remains committed. And despite having a lot of problems with Captain America 4 and the narrative structure of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I love his portrayal of Sam Wilson throughout these movies.
He's great casting.
This is such a great introduction for that character.
Yeah, he's really good casting. I think, and I'll wrap this up because I know we want to get to the film. I do think, too, this is for me, I think a lot of credit, not for fight choreography, but I think that Tom Cruise was a big part of revitalizing the idea of like telling actors, put the work in, let the camera see that it's you trying to do this, actually doing this, and it will sell the audience. It will bring them in. It will do something special for your character. And I think Tom Cruise and Keanu Reeves were real spearheads of kind of bringing that back to the forefront of inspiring. And there are other, I'm not trying to say that there aren't other actors who deserve credit, but they're kind of the big ones, you know, the big A-list, you know, people who were able to kind of bring energy back into that. You know what I mean? Because even though Tom Cruise isn't famous for like fights, obviously he's famous for stunts and making sure you know that he did it. And I'm glad it's a trend. Unlike, as much as I love the Bourne trilogy, that whole way of shooting I hate so much. And this was a trend back in a direction that has borne so many really cool things in cinema.
Yeah. And I think that it's especially worth noting because this was coming 2 years after the end of the Dark Knight trilogy. And the Dark Knight trilogy, unfortunately, its great weakness, as amazing as Christopher Nolan and those movies are, its great weakness is action. Its chase sequences are good, but it's like hand-to-hand, its fight scenes, fight choreography are not very good, especially in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And then you also, the year before this, you had Man of Steel, which had some good fight choreography to it, but it was all the like really CG back and forth stuff. And the only other major superhero through line, or other franchises like that were going on, were things like Transformers and the X-Men movies, which this same year, 2014, saw the release of Wolverine, the second in the X-Men Wolverine series.
It was a step up.
There was some good action in those. But we'd had kind of a weak showing or heavily stylized showing of action movies and choreography in that, other than things coming out, like you mentioned, The Raid, or stuff like the Taken movies were big, right?
Yeah.
So this was just such a step up in the human action. But again, we should probably just jump right into it, and we'll probably just gush over it more.
Well, yeah, because why don't you go through the cast, because the opening scene of this film will definitely further the conversation we're having right now. So.
Oh, certainly. By the way, I am sick. I'm going to do best to mute my mic when I am coughing, but if I'm making weird noises, I apologize. This is Captain America the Winter Soldier, released in 2014, PG-13, 2 hours and 16 minutes long, 17 of which are credits. I looked earlier. It was nuts. Directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, otherwise known as the Russo brothers. Their, like, big debut, actually, now being, like, some of the biggest directors out there. This was, like, their, theatrical debut film.
Before this, they were just the Community guys, right?
Yep. And, oh my god. Well, Community and, what's that other one? Arrested Development.
Okay, yeah, but like comedies. I mean, they did comedies before this.
Yeah. Written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who we mentioned last week with Thor: The Dark World. And of course, we have our stars. This is going to be starring Chris Evans, Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Redford, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Kobe Smulders, Frank Grillo, and I feel it must be mentioned for Maximiliano Hernandez and Emily Van Camp.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
This was yeah, I'm excited for this one. All right. As always, we encourage you guys to watch along with us, or if this is a movie like us that you've seen so many times, you can probably play it in your head. So we're going to hit that play button in 3, 2, 1, Go.
Yay. Okay, you asked last week, when was the first Marvel movie which they introduced the Michael Giacchino comic book opening? I can tell you the answer is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
I had asked what was the first Marvel film where we had live action footage from the MCU being played instead of comic book panels, and that was later.
Oh,
but yeah, this.
yeah, sorry.
Well, I thought
this was the introduction of Michael Giacchino's Marvel theme.
Yes, yeah. This is a great open. Again, what a creative way to introduce Anthony Mackie here, because 99% of us would love to be in his kind of shape.
Yeah, he's in fantastic shape, and also it's establishing the setting. This movie takes place almost entirely in Washington, D.C., which is rare for a superhero movie. Most superhero movies, especially Marvel movies, usually take place in New York. So they're establishing this different thing. They're opening it with a joke, which is really appropriate because Anthony Mackie, that's Anthony Mackie. But the Russo brothers, like you said, they started with Community. Their audition for this movie was to give them an episode of Community known as the Paintball episode, okay? And it's actually a really good action, well-choreographed little Community episode.
This also...
Season 1's Modern Warfare... Or no, Season 2, Fistful of Paintballs.
Yeah. This, I love this too, that they one, there's humor. Two, you're kind of given these guys have natural chemistry. There's, this little bit of back and forth, where there's kind of the relation of even separated by 50, 60 years, there's the kind of similarities that vets would have about things. Also, recognizing him, talking about the past versus the future. They establish a friendship and a repertoire with these guys really fast.
Repertoire? And I remember a rapport.
What repertoire is not the right word. Sorry. Now this right here, this was changed depending on where you saw this in the world, right? This list.
Yes, every country had a different list.
List.
I believe that Star Wars and Star Trek were in all of them. But I also really like it. It also really is able to highlight that Steve is adjusting. He's learning to be a modern man, but he's also a little stuck in the past. And they do it so subtly while also establishing his celebrity, Yeah. He is an important person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people know who he is.
Love that joke.
and also, too, there is, you can definitely overdo it, but people giving each other, a hard time just a little bit is a genuine way to establish friendship and camaraderie, because
it's also a vet thing.
Oh yeah,
a veteran
absolutely.
thing. Oh man, the amount of shit they give each other is amazing.
Steve gives him, if you call that running, and he's like, oh really? And then Scarlett Johansson immediately pulls up and gives, I'm looking for a fossil, so it just, nobody's safe from it, which I think makes it worse. It's not not makes it worse, makes it work, because they're all being, it just, you said this movie feels genuine. It feels like the relationships they have with each other feel real, and the kind of relationships that I had in the military. I know that you know guys who have the same thing. It's just, this is how it is. This is actually very toned down, because there'd be a lot more profanity in the real military, but but the spirit is accurate.
Yeah,
man. This suit though, I think it was just called the stealth suit. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, they just call it the stealth suit. It's based very much on Captain America's Secret Avengers uniform that they used for a while.
Chris Evans is a broad guy, and this uniform just makes him look even better. My wife, she likes Chris Evans quite a bit, and when she see the shot, earlier when he's just in his Under Armour running shirt, she has issues with that scene. I'll just got to put it that way.
My wife, if anybody listened to the Thunderbolts podcast that we were on, where she appeared, She loves her some Sebastian Stan. So I completely understand.
Yeah.
Your wife gets Captain America, she gets Bucky. You wearing a parachute?
No, he wasn't.
So this introduction here, one of the things going through this movie is I realized just how dense this movie is with stuff you want to talk about. Like right off the bat, we're introducing the character Frank Grillo playing. His first name is Brock, which isn't mentioned in here because it's a stupid first name. He's just called Rumlow, which anybody who knows the comics are like, oh my god, that's Crossbones. He's a villain. And then you also have the return of the character of Jasper Sitwell, who was an agent in Thor, who appeared in Thor. He appeared in 2 of the little short films with Agent Coulson, and he appeared in the Avengers. And before this, he'd appeared in several episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was running concurrently to when this movie came out. And they're boarding this ship called the Lemurian Star, which is a reference to the Lemurian Empire, which was rivals of Atlantis in Marvel. And it's just all these references just keep coming so spitfire fast. Yeah.
This whole opening, though, too, is just... No, I mean, Chris Evans did a lot of this, but I know there's also... And I forget his name. He's been in the Stuntmen React series that Quarter Crew does. The guy who stunts for Chris Evans. The guy's just a unit.
Yeah. Does this opening feel like an Arkham game almost?
Oh yeah, it's similar. I also this is a weird thing to say that
knife scene. Oh, sorry. What?
I was just gonna say it's weird to say this, but I actually like there's the little bit of like Cap's like he's not looking to just kill guys, but he's not playing around. There's a brutal edge to him where he's still a soldier. Like we talked about it in First Avenger. He kills guys in that movie. He's not Superman. He has no problem, doing what he has to do to take care of, bad guys. And
I think we should say he's changes. Not Batman, because a really interesting thing about Superman is that even throughout the comics, Superman does his absolute best to avoid killing, but he will straight up murk a bastard if he feels that it is absolutely necessary.
I do love that. You really seem helpless without me as he comes down.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
The scene where he throws the knife to stop the guy from pulling the alarm. Do you think that might be a reference to the movie Starship Troopers? The enemy cannot press a button if you disable his hand.
Just the drill instructor doing it. This
every time I see that scene, I think about it.
Yeah, it's the fighting, the parkour elements that he's using his shield in creative, interesting ways. It's I think closest we got to like this is comic book Captain America. It's just he's although
this is also heavily.
Go ahead.
Sorry, what's up?
No, you go.
This is heavily building off of Chris Evans' experience with the Avengers and his collaborative work with the Russo brothers. And one of the reasons why he said that he recommended them personally for Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame is because he was. He loved working with him, is that they took his input when it came to how he did the fighting and the stunts and the shield work, because he had a lot of ideas about it that he learned through the other 2 movies.
Yeah.
Also, we just went through one of my critiques of this movie, okay?
What's that?
She was firing suppressed shots out of an unsuppressed Glock.
Yeah. Yeah,
So there's strike 1.
Yeah.
So he's bad. No recovering from it.
Now isn't you getting tased in the face?
Suck.
Man. Just like the actor playing is it Belloc the Leaper or
Batroc the Leaper?
Batroc. So, he's a UFC guy, right?
I know that he's like a professional gymnast. I don't know if he's UFC.
I thought he did some UFC stuff. He's French, isn't he? Like he's in real life, isn't he?
Algerian.
Also? Algerian. All right. I know that he has some real world, like he's not just, a dude.
But okay, I actually really like this entire setup here. This breaching scene, very Rainbow Six, okay? But it's actually very, I'm not going to call it realistic, but it's highly believable because it's more realistic than the majority of scenes that would be played like this normally. Yeah, George Batroc. George St. Pierre is the name of the actor for Batroc.
Yeah,
and Batroc the Leaper is one of just those stupid Marvel villains. He's this dude who dresses in purple and yellow, and his whole thing is he jumps and kicks people.
What do we call the Leaper? Those are my
Batroc the Leaper. And yeah, you're right. He was a pro mixed martial artist. Yeah, MMA.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that was a thing. Interesting too. The I think I gave this. I talked about this during our recording of Dark World, right? That this was my big moment of shame in theaters. That I spoiled this movie for some poor guy in line.
Yeah, you did.
But this is a movie I enjoy that when you go back through it again, you can see the little hints of S.H.I.E.L.D. being corrupt through it. It is there if you're paying attention the second time through.
Mm-hmm.
I've never liked a movie that just throws a twist that there's no way you could have seen it coming. They just completely hide it. I think a good clever movie, if you're paying attention, you should kind of have an idea. And this follows that rule pretty well, I feel like.
It does.
This is great.
Yeah. They do make him, he's not a match, but you could tell that he's fast and skilled enough that he could be genuinely dangerous.
Well, to any, regular, you can see how, just, even if this was Natasha fighting this guy, not that he would necessarily win, but it wouldn't be a walk in the park.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, one of the things about this particular Captain America costume, the harness, all right?
Yeah.
That just makes him look so much bigger, you know?
Yeah. Well, and he has a version of that from he has a version of that in almost every costume after this, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. He does.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense too because the idea like that, that's what, he's got his shield, his little magnet back there, or whatever he's, got.
Yeah.
He's taking off the helmet.
You can actually see in Batroc's costume here the purple and yellow. They keep it from the comics, even if it's much more subtle.
You can tell based on some of the stuff that Cap's done up to this point that he's pulling some of those punches a little bit because if he hit this guy, I love the idea here that I just get to go through the door.
Yeah,
there's one thing I enjoy. I would say really fast. This movie has multiple points, especially when he's chasing Bucky after Nick Fury gets shot. The physics of Cap. It's just being an object in motion are used many times, and I love that in this film.
Yeah. So we just passed two other things that I critique this movie for. Jasper Sitwell sitting there saying, "I told you, S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't negotiate." We never heard that. There's obviously a deleted scene ahead of time. Also, watch this scene, okay? He jumps, he holds her, she shoots the window before they jump through. It's such a small thing. It's a little split-second moment, but it shows this improvisation and teamwork between the two of them that's really good. In terms of storytelling. I saw that last time I watched it. I'm just like, dang, what a smart thing for the filmmakers to put in to help subtly establish their connections.
Yeah.
I
do think,
but
it was good. Go ahead. Continue your thoughts.
I was just going to say my second critique, or my third critique of this movie, and one of its more unforgivable, is Black Widow's hair. I think this is her second worst hair in all of the movies. I think it looks really bad. Just saying.
Well, I'm a total sucker for redhead, so
yeah, redhead sisters. I can't say that.
No, you really can't say that. I can, and my wife knows. So if anybody's listening, she knows. It's okay.
Yeah, I know. He asked out my sister once.
Yeah, it was before I was married. Just for the record, this costume too. They managed to find the right amount of padding in bulk while also making it a little more form-fitting. Because his first Avengers uniform is a little bit loose, a little bit, a little floppy. This one's...
And then his Avengers uniform was too tight.
Yeah, it was a little... That is America's ass.
Yeah, it is America's ass.
But this and Ultron's uniforms really hit a great balance. of form-fitting while also being like, practical. Good.
Part of it was also that, again, Chris Evans had input in it, and it was more comfortable. He would wear it around the set because he wasn't uncomfortable in it. And that's really hard to do for a superhero costume.
Yeah. Well, and especially one that like a stunt guy can actually do his work in. Mm-hmm. I've again, like Quarter Crews, you know, their channel's awesome. Anybody who doesn't know about them, go look at them. But their Stuntman React series, you know, talking about costuming at times, you know, how much it sucks when a costume designer does not think about, I have to be able to move in this thing. You dress me up in this thing and you still want me to do backflips. Dude, come on.
Yeah. This scene with Fury talking about this is actually based on Samuel L. Jackson's actual grandfather or father, one of the stories that he would tell him. But it's kind of a long scene in retrospect, and that's the type of scene that's lacking from more modern Marvel movies and superhero movies. It's just to take the scene and dwell and have somebody tell a story in a casual way that's important to plot and theme, but it's just like it seems almost irrelevant, but it's genuinely just such a character building moment, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's, again, this movie does so much. We were talking about Dark World kind of setting up a lot of MCU stuff. This movie, though, I think sets up so many key relationships that stay huge for many, many films after this. You have, I mean, this movie does a lot to build Natasha's character, Cap's character, you know, Nick Fury's character. There's, you know, and obviously bringing Bucky back and kind of, you know, reestablishing him. I mean, there's just a lot of...
Introducing Falcon, expanding the character of Maria Hill, even.
Yep. This whole, though, this is one of those things where you do want to go, are you listening to yourself right now as you, like, describe the godlike powers you were assigning to this organization?
Here's a cool callback to the first Avengers movie, where it's just like Stark got an up close look at the turbines. Yeah, he got torn to shreds in them.
Yeah, that is a fun little Easter egg of a comment. Yeah, he was like, I don't want to deal with that again. It's also, though, just there's something about a ship in the air with a lot of guns pointed down. It just inherently calls out, maybe not bad guy, but just like, you want to be really careful with that kind of power.
Yeah.
I also really enjoy the fact that he does call out, you know, anybody who wants to, you know, talk about war, and I am a firm defender of World War II. I will absolutely argue with anybody it's a justified war. But we did, the Allies, we just bombed the absolute crap out of civilians because we had to kill the factories. And there was, you know, very little care for that kind. I mean, not that we didn't care, but we just accepted the fact that this was just you know, the way it had to go down. And I like that they call that out, but at the same time, Steve acknowledges it, but doesn't let him get it. I just, like, again, there's snippets of better conversations in here. Like, this movie would get dragged down if they had the conversations to the length that I would like them to. But they're good starters.
Joss Whedon cameo right here. He's on the escalator in that scene.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. With his son. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I understand that, like, one of the things I like about it is that I understand Nick Fury's perspective in looking at the Battle of New York and seeing what he would have needed in order to properly counter that for when it inevitably happens again.
Yeah.
Also, are you aware of the voice, the narrator in this scene?
I feel like I should know who this is.
You should.
I feel like...
actual advocate for Veterans Affairs and
this is
an honorary
Gary
Sinise.
That's
Lieutenant
awesome. Lieutenant Dan. And it's somebody who in real life has done so much veterans work. Really cool guy. Love the callback to Howling Commandos. But you know, that's where you can totally understand somebody going, I mean, you know, in the real world, our analogy would be all the decisions that were made after 9/11 that were made in the spirit of, if we had just been doing this, that wouldn't have happened. And it's an understandable thing, but man, it can get out of control really easily. And I don't want to get into that conversation tonight because that's definitely not a fun or a movie conversation. But as somebody who definitely falls on the conservative side of things, I have some big issues with some of the decisions made in 2002 and 3. And this movie is talking about those kind of things. It's not a lot of superhero movies that go there.
Yeah. Here we have the return of Hayley Atwell as Peggy Carter. Yeah. Now, there's actually some disagreement between the writers of this movie and the directors. Supposedly, at this time, they had already made the decision that the end of Steve's story would be that he travels back in time, like at the end of Endgame, to be with Peggy again, which is why they kept it vague. The writers say that, yes, she was talking about him, it all happened in the same timeline, where the directors are like, no, he would be in an alternate timeline. So there's a whole thing there. But the entirety of this section with Peggy was written and filmed with the express intent that it is establishing his eventual fate of traveling back in time to live the life that he missed out on by being frozen.
Yeah, it's just that whole story. I on one hand, I kind of love the idea that if it was all the same timeline, that right now old Steve is hiding to make sure he doesn't interfere in all this and making sure this all happens. That there's just like kind of that Back to the Future style time travel storytelling, which, Endgame directly calls out as being BS.
They even add an old man in Captain America Civil War as a pallbearer at her funeral, and you don't see his face.
Yeah.
But you see him from behind on the top of his head. That the writers said were old Steve.
And see, I don't mind, as much as I know that the way they explain it in Endgame kind of makes that theory less, but I like it. I honestly don't care if it works or makes sense or quantum mechanics or whatever crap you want to talk about. It's just fun storytelling. And again, I love Back to the Future, so I have no problem with them doing that style time travel again, because it's just good. It's just fun. But this is an effective scene. This is Hayley Atwell in makeup does an amazing job here. And
some of it's really digital. You can see the edges are a little bit funky in some places.
But you can still see her eyes and her mouth. Acting. And Go ahead. Yeah,
Chris Evans just does so well in this scene. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. But that's also establishing some other stuff coming up here. I'll talk about it when I get there. Never mind. But I wasn't a big fan of that scene when I first saw it, but once I understood the twist, it made a lot more sense why they needed to keep that scene in there with him being like, you helping to found S.H.I.E.L.D. is the only reason why I stayed. And while she was filming this, and she was back in makeup and everything like that, they had her do a quick off to the side soundstage filming a scene for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is something I wanted to talk about, because this was running concurrently to the first episode, to the first season of the show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., starring Clark Gregg. And the first couple episodes of that series are rough, but when this movie's impact takes effect, it turns into a whole other show, and it's so stinking good. It's so stinking good. Here we have the World Security Council.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
A couple of these actors were those who appeared in the first Avengers film, and there's some new ones.
Yep.
And all of these actors are like people who appeared in everything,
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, the main guy there, all the way to the right. I know the actor's name.
Alan Dale.
He's been in so many. I mean, he was a in law. He plays like in authority kind of shadow behind the scenes business guy. So many places because he does it well. I mean, he was a big presence in Lost, the show Lost. He's been in a bunch of other movies. He
was a praetor of the Romulan Empire in Star Trek Nemesis.
That's right. Yeah.
But the Asian gentleman there, Chin Han is the actor's name. He was in everything for a second. He was just coming off of the Dark Knight.
Yep. He was the money guy.
Things. Yes, Lau. I remember him like he was in the show Fringe. He was in the show Arrow. There was this short-lived series called Last Resort that was actually really good, but only lasted a single season, and he had a recurring role in that. But he's actually considered a national treasure over in China and one of the 25 greatest Chinese actors of all time.
Nice. So it's interesting here also. The only thing that I really do like Robert Redford, when they cast him, I was waiting for
it was too obvious.
It just made it like, because it's the same thing like when you watch a TV show and it's like a procedural. As soon as you have a guest star that is somebody you've ever heard of before, you're like, oh well, they're it gives away that they're an important character that either is the criminal or there's something going on. And when you hire someone like Robert Redford, Academy Award winner, to come into a Marvel film and you just say, oh yeah, he's just the director. You're like, okay, you're giving it away by the casting. And so it's
one quick thing.
Go ahead.
I want to mention in this scene, we just had the woman talking about her little experience. She's right here in the center of this shot, the redhead there. That's actually the sister of the Russo brothers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
They love sticking family and friends in their movies.
Nice. Hey, as long as they do it subtly,
casting Robert
I'm totally
Redford
fine
there, and he plays this character Alexander Pierce, right? Alexander Pierce does actually appear in the comics, but he's a nobody. Literally, he popped up in 1988. He's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He's peppered throughout the rest of the comics, but he's a nothing burger. He's just a dude. And so to suddenly have this character be so important is just bizarre. But, I mean, at least they used him as a comic book character, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that he has a name that does come from the comics. But, yeah, it was... I was waiting for... Okay, he's either a villain or something. You're just... When you have casting like that, you're waiting for the bigger reveal of something. And as much as I love him, it is one of the issues when you cast somebody like that in a role like that. So... but
I don't know a whole lot of lore for Captain America, or at least I didn't when this movie was first coming out. I thought they were going to reveal him to be like secretly Baron Zemo, or maybe even like a clone of the Red Skull or something like that. I don't know. I was expecting him to be some sort of giant reveal, and yeah, the head of Hydra is significant.
Yeah,
but I expected him to be a little bit more.
Now this, interesting that did you expect Nick Fury to get a big action scene like this?
No, I didn't. Frankly, by this time in the movie, I was actually kind of annoyed. I wasn't digging the movie at all at this point. I was bored. I didn't understand where the plot was going, because there's not really a plot so far. If you're rewatching it, you're seeing all the threads, but otherwise it's just kind of like, we're a half hour into this movie, and it's just kind of like, Steve's having trouble at work. What else is going on?
Yeah. This was a really smart way.
I was just like, oh, okay, an action scene. This is interesting. I wonder if it's going to be an actually good action scene. And it turned out better than I expected. And I remember sitting in the theater, watching the scene and going, okay, something's happening.
Yeah, I do like that his car is like Tony Stark AI level smart as far as like, the sensor data that it has and like its ability to just like have a conversation with him. Like, this SUV is insanely smart.
Dude, more than you know. Did you, like, if you really pay attention to what the voice is saying, it makes things like, literally that one line of it going, DC Metro reports no units in the area as he's looking at the cops. It says, ooh, there's something bigger going on here. This is conspiracy. This is interesting. But also, he said, get me out of here. And it said, propulsion systems offline. Why would it need propulsion systems? It's not just talking about driving. And it reaffirms this in just a couple minutes here. But this car can fly. Because in the comics, S.H.I.E.L.D. cars were known to be able to turn into aircraft. They even do that in the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with 2 of their cars. But it's a little reference to the S.H.I.E.L.D. cars from the comics in that this SUV is supposed to be able to fly.
Nice. This is, I mean, it's a good scene too, because I love an action scene where you can keep track of what's going on and you can, like, what's happening makes sense. I mean, obviously there's, just a tech kind of BS thing level going on here, but who cares? It's a comic movie. You go with it.
Initiate vertical takeoff. Flight systems damaged. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but that also makes sense why this isn't just like a busted radio. It's like, how is this car healing itself? Like, no, it's not just a V8 down there. It's something else going on.
Right.
But it's a good the tension building of showing the bad guys they knew what they were going to have to do to get into this car. They were prepared. They had a plan, which I love it when you show competent villains, even henchmen who are competent and like
this movie. Actually, one of its strengths is its competent villains. They seem genuinely dangerous to everybody involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also like that they're giving Fury this moment. They're really expanding his character that way, showing how dangerous he is, both mentally and physically. He waited to deploy the countermeasures until he knew that he had the right shot.
And
stuff like that.
It shows too. One of the things I love. It's one of the most dangerous qualities somebody can have, which is competence and calmness under pressure. I don't think people understand how much of a superhero power that can be. Somebody who is just simply able to keep their cool and continue to make good decisions in the middle of a stressful situation. Like, that is a huge advantage because most human beings aren't good at that. And this whole sequence shows that so well, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And coming up here, we have something that appears twice in this movie that people think is a reference to the comics, and other people think that it was supposed to be something being retroactively written into the MCU, which is actually the appearance of the character of the Punisher. Because in the Punisher comics, he often used a Penske truck as like a mobile base and would often hit people with a Penske truck, especially bad guys. And coming up here in a second, these cop cars get pancaked by a yellow Penske truck. And then later in the movie...
How did I never know that was a thing? I didn't know this was a thing. Yeah. That's awesome.
The character of Jasper Sitwell, when he is pulled out of the car and thrown into traffic by the Winter Soldier, is hit by a Penske truck. Man. And this is just such a good character entrance. Like, it feels like something out of a Western.
Well, it's Western, but it's also, I mean, this was used by a lot of people, but very Terminator-esque. Just how slow and deliberate he moves, how just that unstoppable quality is. He's just, he rarely runs. He's just, again, just competence, foreboding. It's he's well done.
Very. And so many things that they did with this, the creation and direction of the character of the Winter Soldier is so good. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. later reveals that particular device was created by a character by the name of Leo Fitz, who's one of the main characters on there, and it's used in that show several times.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I love that show. I think it deserves more love, even if it's not like the best show in the world.
You do.
I think it's great.
Find a way to bring it up every time we go into the MCU, so it's okay. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a tiny little thing. That.
Did he not wearing a helmet?
No, I love that actually. No, so two things. Cap is not wearing a helmet, and he's driving a Harley.
It's such a good-looking Harley. I really hate
classic.
Kawasaki's. I love the look of the Captain Harleys in the
he needs to be driving an American motorcycle. Okay, this is a weird thing. So we're a time recording. The little teasers for Doomsday have come out, like the couple before they've been playing before Avatar, and the Steve Rogers one. Sorry if anybody's getting it spoiled, but it's on YouTube, so go look it up. He's driving a Triumph motorcycle. And Triumph is a British brand. He needs to be driving an American brand. Harley's fine. There's a few other good choices, but Harley works. I'm not even like a motorcycle guy, but like Cap needs to be.
Wait, hear me out.
And he puts the helmet down, which I get, like he's got a kid now or whatever. He's trying to be careful. But he looks so good helmetless on a Harley.
But ask yourself the question, why would he be driving a Triumph?
Because he's in England with Peggy, I know.
There you go.
But he's still Captain America.
So we had the introduction of Agent 13.
Yeah, sorry, I just talked right through that.
No, you're fine. She's kind of a debated character because they made some really odd choices with her in Captain America, or not Captain America, but the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. But in the next movie, she's revealed to be the niece of Peggy Carter, which she's Agent 13, who was always the niece of Peggy Carter, so that was used there. And so she has that whole line about being on the phone with her aunt, who's an insomniac, and insomnia is a symptom of dementia. And so maybe she was actually on the phone with Peggy. Also, they're using the music that would later be used at the very end of Endgame when he's reunited with Peggy.
It's a good piece of music. It's a very, very appropriate. I also just this is a weird thing, but I really like Cap's pad here. It's very just like dude vibes, but also kind of older school. He's got LP, of course. He's got history books. He's, even though he's not a dad, he's definitely got the dad stuff in his apartment. He's like American
He's the dad of the Avengers.
He is.
And he's a dad now.
He is?
You were just talking about the thing with the kid.
I like, yeah.
The Doomsday trailer.
No, I'm saying I like it because I would, a lot of guys would be like, I could live in this place.
They later revealed in the much maligned and rightfully maligned Secret Wars, Secret Invasion TV show, that Fury does actually have a wife that he's been keeping hidden over the years, and she ended up being a Skrull.
Okay, I know it's a comic book thing, but Nick Fury, unless he's got like some kind of medical device in his belt, in his shield belt, is not walking away from 3 hit center mass like that.
Well, it's supposed to be that he had some sort of body armor.
Yeah, but it shows them going all the way through. Like,
it does?
I mean,
I always thought that they were just like puffs of air.
It shows full like those are blood-soaked penetrations. Like, it's just like he got hit in the lungs, man. Anyways, it's it's a
this
tiny,
is supposed
tiny
to
thing.
Be a reference to like foreshadowing that Shield was in on it because he immediately asks if there's a 20 on the shooter, and she didn't even report that there was a shooter.
Yeah.
I love this scene of him just running through the office building.
That's what I mean. Just like an object in motion tends to that off the wall there through the door.
Yeah. This is just has such an aspect of realism to it, or a believability to it, I should say.
If you take Cap's abilities at face value as portrayed in this film, this is how it would work. But
that
also too, just
was later copied in the future movie Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, used on the character of Captain Carter, but it cuts her in half. But they filmed it deliberately to echo that scene.
I guess Cap's hands are tougher.
I think Wanda's throw is harder.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, she probably put a little magic pixie dust behind the throw. But there's also just, again, this movie embodies its action scenes with a sense of just kinetic energy to them, which, even there where you're just running, but it's like, okay, we're not just running. The idea that Cap's not going to stop and open doors, going through windows, like he uses his shield so well. There's just this sense of like just kineticism, if that makes sense, or that's not the right way to put it.
No, momentum is the word.
Yeah, momentum. And that's something that a lot of movies lose that. They don't know how to. They just look like dudes doing stuff on screen versus like, no, this has like a through line, and it's just it's cool.
Yeah. That might be one of the only proper uses of fibrillation. They have him actually, if you look at the monitors, they actually have him fibrillating. And so they use a defibrillator, even though he later dies. Instead of, he's flatlining, let's shock his chest for some reason, because that's not how things work.
Once my son became an EMT, he had a lot of things to say about, like, I've been looking at all these movies wrong. They're all doing it wrong.
They're all doing it wrong. Even this movie's not perfect. It's just there's a hint.
It was definitely better
of somebody knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
One of the doctors here is actually one of the directors. I think it's Joe Russo, but it might be Anthony. And he appears later in the movie, and actually the character, quote unquote, quote figures here, comes back in Endgame. He's the
he's in like the counseling session, right?
Yeah, he's at the counseling session. He's the gay guy.
Oh yeah, that was a little ruffled some feathers there.
In this, it later says that he used tetrodotoxin D, which is a powerful neurotoxin that's actually found in fugu fish, the puffer fish. Okay, and it's used in other movies as well as this like fakes your death drug. Okay,
slows your heartbeat down so much that you can't even be detected.
Just 1 beat a minute, just go. I remember them using it in the A-Team with Liam Neeson, and he gets a cigar lined with tetrodotoxin. And it honestly, it's bullshit. But it's common. It's like reliable throughout it, you know? Every breakdown I watched wanted to point out that, she points out how much of a terrible liar he is in this scene because of his obvious like overreaction. Then later, it's obvious that he's learned from her critique and lies better. And I'm like, that's what you did. That's stupid. Like every breakdown, for some reason, decided to like point that out.
I don't get it. It's a weak thing, and two, you don't want Cap to be like a great liar.
No. Frank Grillo, man. Sitting here playing Rumlow, he's a good actor. He's led some movies that are like genuinely great, and he's really honest about like his fitness because he's like 60 years old now, and he's sitting there. He's just like, yeah, I've had to use performance enhancers. They all do. Any of them that says that they don't, they're lying.
Yeah, it's the worst kept secret now for sure.
Yeah.
So,
man, Robert Redford is probably one of like the best looking leading men in all of Hollywood.
Oh yeah, like I mean, he's got that. There's something about what was kind of the what a handsome guy looked like back then, because it's just like cultural standards have changed a little bit, and he's part of that class of just kind of gentlemen from like the golden age of Hollywood. That I don't know, it works. But I also was raised on it, so I have a real partialness to it, some bias. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think he has a similar thing to when people look at guys like Harrison as being just really good looking. Mm-hmm. Is kind of in a similar facial structure.
Yeah, I think that Chris Evans will be included in that in the future. Excuse me. So this is kind of funny. I don't know why they ended up going with this, but like in Captain Marvel with a young Nick Fury, he was just telling a story about Nick Fury's mission in Bogota. And in Captain Marvel, there's just this weird conversation where Fury is sitting there going, I always do operations in countries or cities that start with a B, and he starts listing them off. And then there's this other one where it's just like, he's in Bogota. It's kind of carrying that through line. And I'm like, what a strange thing to, like, follow up later, is that Nick Fury does a lot of things in places that start with a B. It's so strange.
Okay.
It's such a strange thing that they followed up on.
This is one of those interesting, like, just kind of dialogue dump scenes that it makes sense, I guess. You kind of have to sell this a little bit. Because this is one of the areas where I do think they just had this really great, kind of sequence, like this big thing with Nick Fury getting shot. We're about to have the elevator scene, but it is. I don't envy writers who have to you got to sit down here and you got to talk about why somebody's dirty, and it's a setup, and we just got to talk about accounts and wire transfers and assassination plots, and just like it's always kind of clunky to write this stuff.
I think that if this was a worse movie, it would be a worse scene, but I think that they also really effectively used this to set up the characters. You already have Cap being kind of defensive. He's being he's suspicious, but you're giving Pierce time to establish himself as a character. You see Oh, you think that Fury set up the pirates, which he did actually. But you have him being there like, oh, no, I'm talking to you because we both know that there's something wrong, and like maybe he wants to. He's trying to find out where Captain America is on his threat level, you know?
Yeah.
And they're giving him time to establish himself as a competent, principled, terrifying villain. That he's not just an evil conniver sitting at the top. He's actually very smart. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's an effective scene.
I do really like the line there. Just that it was a good comeback where, Cap says, told not to trust anybody. And Pierce's reply was, I wonder if that included him. It's a good comeback.
Yeah.
And man, they really got the shield the perfect size to fit his back proportionally.
Right?
Like I feel like they had to make the shield the right size specifically for Chris Evans,
Yes. So I have a couple more gripes.
All right.
All right, as we get into the best scene in the movie.
Oh, this is just
the shield keeps changing colors.
It gets brighter and duller.
Is you just have a guy airbrushing the thing on Cap's spare time?
Yeah.
And also, Nick Fury's death. This movie is guilty of constantly having people coming back from the dead. It has like 4 of them in the same movie.
And I remember this though too, because correct me if I'm wrong, did they manage to keep? No, they did give away that there was an elevator fight scene in one of the trailers, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They did.
It was one of those selling points that they had to do. But also, one of the things that should be noted in the wide shot when they were first getting into the elevator is that it shows the Watergate Hotel directly in the background.
Okay, yeah, it's one of those. To all the President's Men. This, though, and I wish they had not given this away at all. Because the way this scene builds is so good. Because at this point, as soon as Cap notices the guy's hand on his taser, you know something's going on. But it's just, this is
and then there's a couple of other things.
There's several
for example,
more. But it escalates, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, because he notices all these little things, including that these businessmen are wearing combat boots.
Yeah. And sweating.
He's noticing this. He's sweating, this perfectly air-conditioned thing. And then this character has actually been introduced as being named, what was his name? Like Jack something. Jack Rollins is the character's name. He's another nothing burger from Marvel Comics. Appeared in like 2 things in the 80s as a Marvel, as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Oh, man. Does anyone want to get out? It's such a good line, and he delivers it so well.
He does.
This is also, too, one of those things where you would think, okay, it's a good plan, you got him in a contained space, but you've also put him in a situation where he's kind of within reach of everybody. So he has some disadvantages, but being in a small space like this also gives him certain advantages. Because he's got hard walls right around him. He's got, nobody, has room to get away from him and really gain space. And getting space is important in a fight. It's just a masterful fight.
It is. It's like,
that shot, that overhead.
It's got some cuts to it. But I love their use of the gadgets because that's something that this movie needs, even though it is like it's trying to be a gritty action movie. It's still Marvel. Guy. They've got to have gadgets. And so they have these little magnetic cuffs where if they'd been able to get both of those magnetic cuffs on, he would have been totally disabled.
See, I think he still would have had his feet, would have been a problem. But I also love the idea too when he's got the one cuff up that he uses it. He pulls himself up on it. He like supports himself and kind of. Anyways, it's just it shows not only is Cap just a unit of a fighter, he's also a smart fighter. He constantly is like taking the situation that he's in and finding a way to use it. Using his hand, using it as leverage points. Then finding a way to, to grab the guys and use their own tasers. Like it's not just I'm going to beat you guys. It shows that he's thinking about the fight as he goes through it, which is a sign of a really good fighter.
And they have Chris Evans in his little shield ball. which is something that he brought into the fighting in Avengers.
Didn't the comics show that kind of thing though occasionally?
Not often. It was something that they talked about while filming action sequences. Like, why don't I just cover my whole body with it? It's just like,
I love
you look like an egg.
I love Sitwell's. Are you kidding me? Just a good look.
There was actually supposed to be another fight scene here. Instead of it being a Quinjet, he was actually supposed to be pursued on a bike by Hawkeye. They were going to bring Jeremy Renner back, and Jeremy Renner and the character was actually going to let him go. But they were going to have a little Captain America versus Hawkeye fight scene, partially to make the argument as to why Hawkeye is actually far more dangerous than you think and deserves to be on the Avengers. Because he didn't get much time in the first Avengers movie. And I like this better. It would have been a little distracting.
Yeah.
But a lot of the dialogue and beats that they had in that fight scene, apparently they carried over into Civil War when he's going up against Vision and
Black Panther.
Natasha.
Are you sorry for Cap or for Hawkeye?
Hawkeye.
Okay, because I mean, I like Hawkeye's fight with T'Challa also.
We're still really good, right? Going up against Black Widow.
Depends on how hard you hit me.
Precisely.
But that shot, and this is where it's like you get that hero shot. The shot of him landing, like with the shield down, like after vaulting off, that is just one of those that is a comic book panel right there. And they nailed several of those in this movie. Just like that's you just freeze that and print it because you can just put that in a comic book without changing it at all.
And this scene right here, I think, is important because they're still giving you this question of because with the death of Nick Fury, so far, I remember sitting in the theater thinking, oh, so maybe Robert Redford's character isn't actually the bad guy. Maybe they just needed to get rid of Samuel L. Jackson for some reason, so they're killing his character and they're going to replace him with Robert Redford. And so Robert Redford might still be a good guy and there's something else going on here. Like, that's where my mind was. And I think that it was kind of really clever, the way that they're setting up, Alexander Pierce is sitting there like, somebody murdered my friend and I'm going to find out why, And so that's why they're going after Captain America. It's like, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s not bad. He's not evil, but he's in conflict with the hero because of principles.
And there's definitely versions of that could work, but I mean, it is bold of them to get rid of...
It was enough for the movie to put your expectations into question.
Yes. I do think... Now, this is always one of the, it's funny, we were talking about the Dark Knight trilogy, and it's one of the issues with that. But whenever you do movies, you have to accelerate plot lines quite a bit because, people are not going to, it's not a TV show, people aren't going to wait, for 10 years. The idea of like you introduce S.H.I.E.L.D. in a big way in the Avengers, right? You get the helicarrier and you have the whole, it's a whole thing. It's very cool. And they dismantle it this quickly in the MCU, and they take it, and the S.H.I.E.L.D. is a major player in Marvel Comics. It's both like bold in a really cool way, but it also is interesting because it kind of takes it away from the, it's like they're taking things away that might be easy buttons out of certain things later. I don't know. It's a tricky balance to do that in film, where you want to go through something, go through a resource. Let's call it a resource from your existing IP, comics in this case. And you want to take something that's been around for a couple decades and be like, we're just gonna like use it up in like 3 movies and move on. It's I both applaud them for it, but I also wonder sometimes if they go through things too quickly in order to just get a big punch in a movie without thinking long term about the consequences of not having it. I don't know. I'm just rambling.
There was supposed to be a scene right here, which is why it's focusing on his stylish shoes, where they track his suit, his stealth suit, and they find it in the gym, in the basketball court of a gym, and he stole some guy's clothes out of a gym.
I do appreciate the glasses on him. I almost wonder if that's like tiny little nod to Superman.
Maybe.
Because I think it would be more effective than you'd think. throw kind of nerd glasses on,
it really
on
is.
him. It would for just the average person. I mean, I know that she's wearing the classic Marvel hoodie, disguise. But if you were just an average person, I don't think you would notice Captain America if you walked by him just like that.
Yeah.
I hate. Oh my gosh. Sorry. My little pet peeve is like hardened military guys who do the whole. I'm just gonna, rack my slide and tuck it in my pants. It's like no. There are good holsters that exist that are totally concealed. No, he wouldn't. He put it in his jeans and his small of his back. It's one of those things that it worked in the 80s, but it's specifically guys who are military that it just bugs me.
Yeah,
this extra. I don't know who this guy is, but he does a great job.
He's not an extra. He's a comedian.
Okay.
He is actually somebody, but it's really funny. Out of all the lines in this movie, for some reason, certain corners of the internet have latched onto the whole thing. He holds up his thing, "I've been Aaron," and they've latched onto it, and I don't know. I think it's hilarious. They're just like, "And I've been this," like. If you need anything, I've been the president.
Yeah, this I did appreciate because it's very appropriate that Black Widow. This would be kind of her world as far as no, Steve, listen to her. She knows more about doing this kind of stuff than you do.
Military stealth versus social stealth.
Yeah.
She is a little bit more James Bond because that is the type of thing that James Bond.
Well, she's a spy.
Do,
She's not a soldier, right? I mean, they even talk about that in Avengers when she and Hawkeye are talking.
Yeah.
Displays of affection.
Public displays of affection make people very cool. Yes, they do.
They do. Oh, it would work though. I mean, even somebody who's really good.
Yes.
It's great. Scarlett Johansson is an attractive woman.
Interestingly enough, there's actually a promo in 2021 for the Falcon and Winter Soldier where they bring back that comedian. His name is D.C. Pearson. In one of the ads as Aaron, the Apple Store employee.
Okay. I think that putting them together was an interesting choice too, because Natasha is somebody who she's just an interesting counterpoint. You don't have to force the different worldviews because they naturally have it, but I think that you also have, without it being forced, you have two capable people, but from different skill sets, different worldviews, but there's a respect there, but at the same time, a kind of a I don't know. It's respect, but it's not over the top. It's like that. I respect your abilities, but I also kind of fundamentally consider you to be either naive or jaded, and I kind of filter everything you say through there. And I think this movie did a good job of their relationship. And I think when you get to Endgame, and that little scene with them at the beginning, when they're just, she's sitting there eating her sandwich. That kind of scene doesn't work nearly as well without this film happening, where it just helped establish this a little bit.
And I love, love, love that they didn't enter them into a romantic relationship. Because as I was watching this the first time, I was worried that that's where it's going. And I'm like, no. Because I think that it's a great pairing to put. It's that odd couple. She is she had that little comment just in the car here about how the truth isn't the same thing to all people, in all circumstances, or that truth is dependent on circumstances. Where Captain America is very much that truth is an absolute. So you have absolute truth versus circumstantial truth, and that's a philosophical argument that's actually quite deep that you can't get into a movie like this. But it shows the differences between these characters. Because you could pair her with Tony Stark, like in Iron Man 2, and things will be kind of like in that movie. There's this certain, they're both a little bit rogue. You could pair her with Hawkeye. They're obviously old friends. The weirder thing, pair her with Thor, and they wouldn't really have anything to talk about. Pair her with the Hulk, and that's just not a pairing that works in any way, shape, or form. No. It just doesn't work. This is the right relationship to have that type of counterpoint,
Yeah. No, I'm also very happy they did not try to. I mean, having little and what movie is it where he says the line, "I've seen her flirt up close," and this was
it's Ultron.
That is Age of Ultron. That's right, because he's talking to he's talking to Banner. But I love it's a tiny moment though where she asks him, where did Captain America learn to steal a truck? And he's like, Nazi Germany, and he tells her to take her feet off the dash. And the look that it's a subtle little bit, but where she looks at him and she's like, ha ha, and then she's like, oh no, you mean that, but not like not in an annoyed way. She's like, no, you really do try as much as you can to hold on to your integrity, even when you're doing things like this. And I think that there's just that it's a half second of respect. At least that's how I took it.
I love that they have the portraits there of the characters from the first one. Though Tommy Lee Jones' character there, because his character would obviously be dead by this time. I'm glad that he got a little reference. But it's also kind of sad. Just today, time of recording, it was announced that Tommy Lee Jones' daughter had been found dead under unusual circumstances. And so going into this movie, I was sitting there going, oh, Tommy Lee Jones is connected to this movie a little bit. Mm-hmm. Made me sad thinking about it. But yeah, the use of technology to just overcome some older security methods is kind of fun.
It's fun, but it's also like one of those. Marvel does such an interesting, like, a lot of what they do is like very kind of just like standard modern. Like she's using just off the shelf Glocks. That she's also got a phone that can do that. It's an interesting combination.
I'm not a Glock guy. I'm not a Glock guy by any measure. I think that they're just kind of bland, but the fact is, straight out of the box, they are probably the most reliable handgun. Like, you don't need to really tune them in.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's not about reliability. It's just like, you obviously have, at this point, it's the mixture of, I've got, a phone that can, like, do holographic, perfect, fingerprint lifting from decades ago, but I'm still, primarily walking around with 9mm handguns is just an interesting combination.
It seems really reasonable to me because, like, if you're going to have some sort of hyper advanced gun, you need to be highly trained on it. You need to make sure that you don't lose it. And it's like having a super advanced phone versus having a super advanced gun seems a little bit more reasonable to me. But that might just be me being weird.
That's fine. This whole sequence was interesting. It was a really cool way to bring Baron back. This funny little reference. Yeah. Shall we play a game?
This is actually like my favorite scene in the movie. I love it. I love good exposition scenes. It brings back Zola, even if it is another resurrected character.
But this is the way you do exposition, because you are doing so much fun stuff here while also giving the audience an info dump. And this is the way you do an info dump, where you just you make it, you wrap an info dump up in fun dressing, both character and environmental.
Yeah, and they do that really well. Arnim Zola was actually like, he was a Nazi scientist, and his brain got uploaded into a computer, but he was in a robot body. And he had a face that would appear on a screen in the middle of the robot body, very similar to this. So it's
I am Swiss.
It's just good. I'm Swiss. Never been more alive.
His cadence and his accent is just it's gold.
Did you know, like, they actually have these computer banks in the background of when Tony's stealing the Tesseract in Endgame?
Must have missed that.
And actually, do you remember when they call Hank Pym and, like, distract him so he runs away from his lab?
Oh,
he actually shoves past Arnim Zola in a very brief scene.
No, I remember that. But, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't. I missed that. The 6 times I've watched Endgame, I never noticed that Zola was in that scene.
Okay. No, I remember seeing him, like, right away, but I missed the tape banks. So.
Yeah. Also, the scene here when they show the newspaper with the death of Howard Stark. They actually use that. If you look at it's a very blink and you miss it, but if you pause it and you look, the headline features the date that they use in Captain America Civil War mission report, the like December 16, 1991 or something like that.
Nice.
And the paper in here has the date of December 17th, 1991.
This is
2 weeks old.
Let's say this is also an exposition scene that manages to introduce an interesting idea that is genuinely interesting in that it is so much more effective if you can manipulate a population to giving up their freedom willingly and being thankful for it when it's all done, because that is, without getting too much into conspiracy theory stuff, like there's elements of that absolutely do exist and absolutely have been used to different levels throughout history. I mean, there's basically, two big methods of thought when it comes to like how you control a population, and one is through brute force, which is a very high energy, difficult way to do it, especially long term. The other one is to just convince the population through propaganda and usually a mixture of drugs and entertainment to just let you do whatever you want. And it is intense manipulation. There's again, this movie doesn't fully finish this thought, but this scene does a great job of starting it and not just starting it, but getting into it a little bit, which is
absolutely,
it's really well done.
One of the things that really ties into that paranoia, because this is something that people think has actually happened or is actually happening, whatever you want to call it. She mentions Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was a real operation which involved the conditional hiring of former Nazi and former Japanese scientists and big brains after the World Wars, and giving them clemency in exchange for their work being aided in the Cold War. Same thing happened with Russia. And so the idea that a whole bunch of Nazis existed within America's infrastructure post-World War II it was a terrifying thought.
Well, I mean,
I remember the show Archer has a joking line about it, talking about Operation Paperclip. And, it's just like, what, you think that it's not the case? Go walk into NASA, yell Heil Hitler, and see how many people jump to their feet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest one, is it Van Buren? I mean, the guy who, the doctor, is it Van Braun? Van Braun. I'm like, the guy who, designed the Saturn V rocket that got us to the moon.
Yeah, he's he's like the father of the jet engine.
He absolutely, worked for Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple things like that. Now, their survival here is another one of those things where
this is total, a bunker buster that would have gotten down that far. There's no way. There would have been how many tons of concrete and steel on top of them? I mean,
maybe it was Hammer Technologies, okay? Maybe they used the ex-wife.
It's one of those that just, the physics of what it would take to get an explosion that far down through a concrete bunker. If you can plausibly argue that Steve survived, there's no way Natasha did.
Nope.
But it's fine. It's fine. Now here, the fact that they actually give away Bucky, here, I mean, obviously the trailers, most people knew already, but they give away his face here. I think a lot of people forget that they give this away here before they show you his face during the fight on the highway.
Yeah. Well, I think that, it's not super clear. They keep him kind of in shadow. So if you don't know what you're looking at, you might not necessarily connect it. Also, now that they've introduced the Hydra thing and you understand, he definitely is the bad guy, they have to give him a moment where you firmly establish that he is the baddest of the bad guys by having him murder his housekeeper. It was almost necessary,
Yeah. It's interesting because they play kind of almost like psycho music there, and it's they did need to. It was odd when it turned to the wide shot through the window, where she kind of does that. She gets hit and she kind of flails backwards and has to get hit a second. It was a weird scene for me because it was intense up until that moment, and then just his reaction. I don't know. I didn't love it.
I thought it was fine. Um, the reintroduction of Sam is a little clumsy as well, but it's believable enough.
Well, at this point where he's just going for like somebody who has no official connection to me at all.
Yeah.
You know, I could see Steve going like, here's somebody who I think I can trust. Although Sam just being like, yeah, let's just, I'll dive right back in. I almost feel like Sam's willingness to just jump right into this thing is almost a bigger stretch. I mean, I know that just you got to move on.
I don't think it's actually so much of a stretch. There's some deleted scenes. I don't remember them exactly, but I have a personal theory.
Okay.
I think that there was a deleted scene that establishes Sam as being a little bit lost, a little bit without hope, even, and dealing with, that thing that a lot of veterans deal with.
Yeah.
And his willingness to jump back in is like finding a new purpose in life for something that he believes in, because he's getting a little bit down. But I think that would have been a little bit too dark of a storyline to follow through.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it's a minor thing. It's not some big stumbling block for me. It's a very fast, like, oh, you guys need help? Okay, I'll just, I'm in, put my life on the line. Oh, by the way, I happened to, when I said PJ, I had this really cool backpack.
Yeah.
You guys eat. I love that line. Like, just that little bit of you guys live on a different, like, level of, like, just living than I do.
Plane of existence.
Yeah. Like, do you guys even have, like, breakfast? Do you guys, like, super... Like, it does establish that he's kind of an outsider looking at them as, like, in this world, these people are superheroes. Which is one of the cool things about Marvel. Just there's no secret identities, but they are still very much they're revered figures.
Yeah.
Maybe not revered, but they're very like
they're larger than life.
They're larger than life. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. But I like this. I like them establishing his credentials. I really love how they establish Falcon. And they bring all this up. They really show that this is a skilled operator, and when they actually get him into the action, they show that he can hold his own. I think this is like the best future Avengers audition in any of the movies by themselves, Like, sure, you have Scarlet Witch being a major threat. That makes sense in Age of Ultron. That one works pretty well. All the others take so much time and don't really work as well as this one does.
Yeah.
And so I love it. And you also get this little flex.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, we're going to break into Fort Meade.
Just like off. It's so trivial. It's off screen. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just think of the idea that there's only one left. That I don't know. That does seem like one of those oddball, like, why that wouldn't be, if that existed, why there wouldn't be more of them. I don't know, just like a tiny bit of a military.
Unless he was like one of the founders, he was one of the progenitors of the technology, and they were testing it, and there were only two of them, and they do a mission and one of the guys gets shot down. Maybe they're just like, this isn't the best way to go. Let's decommission it. And so they didn't build it anymore.
This guy is so, like, just, like, creepy.
He's so slimy.
Yeah, he is.
He's so gross. This actor is so good, though. He's so fun. He's dead now.
Yeah.
But, bringing him back from Iron Man 2, I thought was great.
Well, his whole little bit with Tony, it's amazing how painful a little prick can be. Just like the line delivery for that is just so good.
Yeah. Good guy in the sunglasses.
So it was. Sitwell was in a decent amount of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., wasn't he? Up until this point?
3 episodes. And the last episode that he was on, he actually gets a call and is specifically told that you're needed aboard, you're going to be transferring aboard the Lemurian Star.
Nice.
Like, they worked really closely, because they had highlighted, or they had greenlit Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They were developing it. They wanted it to be this thing. Before this movie had really gotten concrete, and so the cast members didn't know that they were doing the Hydra thing, and they had to rework the show pretty late into its production to be like, oh, hey, we're actually going to be pivoting halfway through our first season into a very different show than you expected. And because of this movie. But, I don't know, it worked really well and created one of the best, like, villains in any of the sci-fi shows that I watched.
Okay, this...
I love this.
This was just... It was a fun way to have a little levity, to, introduce Falcon... And just it's also the like classic, you're not going to do it. Well, yeah, but I got a partner who will. I'm not going to stop them.
But also the whole thing about the lip piercing. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I love that because it shows that he's a little bit old fashioned still. He's like, I'm not ready for that.
I'm not ready for that. Yeah. No, I get that. I'm not either. So it's okay.
Name dropped by Stephen Strange, even though he wouldn't become Doctor Strange for another year or two in this particular thing. I
also I like that Wilson starts, just jeans and a t-shirt, He's not like got a full it works here.
And it looks good. I think that it's a really good costume. Also, I genuinely because the Russo brothers had some work with Jonathan Nolan and Christopher Nolan in the past. I genuinely think that part of this might have been inspired by Jonathan Nolan's Person of Interest show.
Really?
He literally just described the machine.
Yeah, that is true.
Zola's algorithm is the machine, or Samaritan, from that show. And it might have also just, it was a big thing at the time, and it still is, especially with the rise of AI. Almost prescient in some ways. It's just like, computers can predict exactly who you are based on all of your online movements and surveillance. Like, good luck getting away from that. But yeah, here he is. He's thrown out and he's hit by a Penske truck.
No, I do you think having that surprise there was better than having any kind of like teasing that the Winter Soldier is tracking them again? Because they did have it.
We already knew that he was tracking them again.
Yeah, from the scene in Pierce's house.
I like the surprise, personally.
Okay. Man, this is like... Oh.
This is the sequence of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, the ending is good. This is better.
This is better, yeah. The ending... I like the ending very much, but I think the personal stakes are really good. But when it comes to... Talk about avoiding the steering wheel of a vehicle, by the way. Just the steering wheel's gone. What are you going to do? Like, there is no going back from that, right?
But also, look at the stunt work here.
Oh,
They would just CG in so much of this. And they actually did this, okay? They dropped them out. They had them on a skid plate. They were pulling them along using stuntmen, but also Chris Evans actually did it. That stuntman right there for Anthony Mackie. He's been on Stuntmen React on Corridor Crew several times. He's also the main stunt double for... T'Challa through the Black Panther movies.
Yeah. I love the...
he talked about it. He got the skin taken off of his arm in that scene.
Yeah. I also love the... again, the villains are smart that, Winter Soldier there has the grenade launcher specifically to counter Cap's shield. The idea of like something that would, wouldn't just bounce off, that actually would, take him out for a little bit. And it's both very visually cool, but it also again shows that again the villains are showing up, understanding what their stakes are. They're prepared for this.
Agreed. I think that I like their tactics in that way. The whole thing of them standing in a line and just walking down the road, that's a little fan of. It's a little dumb. Seeing the shadow, like they're very smart about their combat here. And I don't know, I really like it. That's
nice. The also the music cue, that like sound for him is very good.
I was going to talk about that. Do you know about that? His music cue?
I know it's cool. Like, okay, what about it?
Okay, so I was going to bring this up because that was done by Henry Jackman. The music in this movie is done by Henry Jackman, who is a really good composer. That's not like, he's not huge, but he deserves a little bit more attention than he gets. He did stuff like excuse me. I think I'm going to end up coughing really badly here in a second. You know, he's done all these things. You know, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Wreck-It Ralph, Kick-Ass, Big Hero 6, Kingsman, a couple of the X-Men movies. Yep, nice little minigun.
I mean, but definitely, obviously, and you know, again, the Terminator references. I'm it's always the one guy. Like, where were you? Like, why were you taking your sweet time while they all went down?
But yeah, just a great showcase of Falcon's skill, though. He has the knife. He cuts the guy's gun off and then kicks him off, so that way he has a weapon and the guy is no longer a threat. It shows that he's a smart, capable combatant in just a really quick and subtle way. But the Winter Soldier musical cue, Henry Jackman took recordings of Sebastian Stan's voice from the first one when he died, when he falls off of the train and screams. He took that scream, elongated and distorted it, and incorporated it as the main musical cue for the Winter Soldier.
Nice. I had no idea.
Isn't that crazy?
That is cool.
That weird little Winter Soldier scream thing is actually Sebastian Stan's scream from the first movie.
I'd never heard that. I'm like shocked that I never heard that for some reason, but this is cool. Again,
this is
okay, so the other thing this movie is amazing at is the building up and releasing of energy, which again is a big part of action scenes, where you got to let people kind of tense up again, and then give them the release of, like, you know, explosive action. It's like, then it's that up down. This is a weird analogy. It's very similar to good comedy. It's
it absolutely is.
The building up and
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, because they both need very similar tempos to be effective. Gosh,
because it's just, you're right, that was a really good scene. This whole interaction, because he sneaks up on her and tries to blow her up, but she's actually tricking him with the phone. She gets a jump on him. She's quick. He's quicker. He's going to get her through brute strength. Oh, she's able to disable his arm using tech that we've already seen her use in the other movies, and is going to be useful later in this movie.
Yeah.
It's great. And here we have the exchange. Oh my God, this entire fight. And a lot of it is actually the two of them. Sebastian Stan practiced the knife flip that we're going to get here in a couple minutes. And Chris Evans did a lot of his own stunts. The stunt team specifically mentioned that Chris Evans having a background in dance, because he did like tap dance and stuff like that. He's able to learn physical movement beats and recreate them faster than almost any other actor they've ever worked with.
Yeah, it's just so good. But this is where, I mean, there's obviously cuts and stuff here, but you never get confused about what's happening. At no point are you, as the audience, going like, wait a minute, how did they get in that position? How did that person get that that position on them? It's all very
through that whole
flows.
thing, you have something like 30 cuts.
Yeah.
Whereas the average Jason Bourne action sequence has over 200 in that amount of time.
You got to get a good kickflip. It's a good kickflip and a good push kick are like required for Cap. Oh man.
And like you see this now. This is something I didn't like. The lines here. Okay, we get the reveal, but this is straight out of the comics. I get why they did it, but I think it's clumsy. You know, he has him looking. He's shocked. Oh my gosh, Bucky? And then, why would he say that?
Yeah, it is.
Why would he say, who the hell is Bucky?
It does. Well, you wonder, why would the Winter Soldier be... What would stun him? You know, like what about this would make him hesitate?
Yeah,
because I mean, it's one of those things that's like it's fine. It's so the movie can happen, but you know, he knows it's Steve. It's not like he's surprised by all of a sudden realizing it's Steve. So but
he doesn't know he's Bucky either. So if there'd been a little bit more like, what's the word I'm looking for? Physical acting in this scene where he like maybe squints a little bit and he has this moment of like he knows that voice or something, and you could see kind of a conflict in him and go like, who the hell is Bucky? but like he wants to respond, but instead it's just kind of dry, deadpan.
Yeah.
I just don't think that line works in the way that they put it there.
Yeah. It's not perfect, but I do like the whole. I really liked the not here, the idea that you cannot shoot Captain America, news cameras
live on television.
Yeah, and the idea that he's got extreme handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
This was a fun. This is a fun reveal.
They had those handcuffs ready.
Yeah, I do like that. This reveal here is Maria Hill. She's fun. I also like Colby Smulders. So.
Right, and again, they killed the character off very unceremoniously in the Secret Invasion TV show. She deserved better. Because it already established that Fury was sending her undercover, right?
Yeah. The thing was squeezing my brain.
Honestly, actually, I don't really like her as an actress sometimes, mostly because the character of Robin in How I Met Your Mother annoys me. But I do like her in this role. I think she's fun.
Yeah. Well, she's a good mixture of levity, but also competency. And, they don't overuse her, across the films that she's in. They give her just that. They convincingly let her be kind of Nick Fury's, right-hand woman.
Yeah.
Somebody that somebody that he can trust through, and you should, that's shown through actions that he trusts her completely.
He says, 3 holes, start digging. They're in a pipe. Where are they going to dig?
Yes.
Is it just an expression? But yeah, this guy right here, he's one of the directors.
Yeah.
Glasses there.
Yeah, that's I think that's Anthony.
Let me look it up, because I don't know their faces. Are they twins? No, that's Joe Russo.
That's Joe? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Joe.
Yeah. Well, earlier when I said, by the way, that him, being the gay dude in the council, like not the council, the counseling session in Endgame. It's not because having a gay character was a big deal. I don't care about that, but just I remember several people from the gay community being like, that's the cameo, like that's where you're going to put that in, and you're going to have the director do that. Like, it was just one of those, like, that was where I heard the grumbling about that was actually from 2 or 3 gay people that I know. Like, yeah, I wish that if they were going to do that they would have done that with so, not the director.
A lot of this movie was filmed in Pittsburgh, much like the first Avengers movie, and the bank that they have him here, they just showed it from the outside, is the same bank from the end of the Avengers movie where Captain America gets blown out of when he's saving the civilians
when he balls up
and all that stuff. Yeah, he balls up and gets thrown out the window. Same building. I love this. I love that they have him in a bank vault, though. I don't know. This is just such an odd spot, but it works so well.
It does work. Yeah, it makes it. It totally works as like an improvised place to do this. Like, all right, like you need a place that you can secure, that's defendable. It's also just interesting. It gives the walls texture.
Yeah, it's visually interesting. I think it also is supposed to just represent the kind of power that they wield, that they're able to get into this place that is going to be one of the most secure on the planet.
Yeah.
Without being an official government.
Yeah, the prosthetic work around his arm too. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very
Sebastian
good.
Stan got himself into pretty good shape for this movie also, let's say.
He did. One of the things about this movie that is honestly a little weird, I don't know what it is, but for some reason it always stands out to me. Sebastian Stan and Chris Evans have really pink lips in this movie. And I've seen them in other movies, and they don't always have that. But there's something about the way this movie is lit or saturated that makes their lips stand out. So that's a weird gift. Observation.
Your work has been a gift to mankind. Yeah. I always thought this was just an interesting line. Again, it tells you a lot about, Pierce's worldview. And again, I really do. Oh, it's funny. We were I went and saw Avatar: Fire and Ash yesterday with my kids.
I still haven't gotten the chance to see it. I've been sick.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. But afterwards we were talking about villains. And one of the problems we had with it was, the most interesting character in the movie is actually the villain, but there's like all the big villains are super, super boring. And it's because villains need to think of themselves as being right. Villains need to think of themselves as not being villains, like the interesting ones. And Pierce doesn't get a whole lot to do, but there's enough of it in that conversation where he's like looking at Winter Soldier and he like just admires the work he did and really believing it to just be like, oh no, you've been so instrumental. Like he fully buys into what he's been doing in the world for the last 60 years, right? Which makes him more interesting as a villain.
Again, going back to when I was first watching this, I thought that they were going to be trying to develop some sort of warped father and son relationship between the two of them based off that scene. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't, but I could also see them really easily doing that. I don't know. I like wrote the whole thing in my head almost as I was watching it the first time, and then it didn't pan out that way, but I'm like, that'd be kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, so this conversation,
yes,
is just this conversation is good. This is the kind of the final. I mean, there's a lot of just kind of here's your plot parameters for the ticking clock. For the final scene, which I get. You got to do it, and it's how you got to structure these things. But the philosophy behind it would make sense. It totally makes sense that Hill and Fury are like, well, we got to find a way to. Shield's too important. The fate of the world depends on it. We got to try to save it. And Steve just been like, no, there is no saving it. And kind of just I like this. I like this. And how it's framed too. These are the right people to have this conversation. Fury's the right person to have this opposite Steve, not Natasha.
Yeah. And I think that it is kind of like, it doesn't blatantly follow through with the main themes that they've been going for, but it adds to them nicely if you're really willing to sit down and think about it. It's that idea of just like the corrupt organization can't necessarily be saved. Sometimes you need to burn it down and start over. And
the idea that Fury, for all the good intentions your secrets had, there were still so many secrets, and those things still can lead to terrible things happening, even if you had the best intentions for them.
Yep, very true. And but again, I'm kind of annoyed at all they were dead and now they're not in this movie because it happens so many times.
That's that closing line right there. I guess you're the one giving the orders now, Cap. I actually kind of hate that line. It's just, it seems like the kind of line written for a trailer.
Okay, I can see that.
And I don't know, it's just. It just seemed overly, like, it every now and then. I know that it's hard to differentiate them, Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Fury, because they're kind of the same person, as far as inspiration goes. But it definitely seemed a little bit more Sam Jackson and less like Nick Fury, at least to me.
I think that because previous in the movie, when you had Fury and Cap interacting, there was very much this deference to Nick Fury's authority. And now you have to have Nick giving deference to Captain America's authority. So I think that it does kind of fit for the dynamic of their relationship and how this movie is evolving it, I guess. So I never really second-guessed it.
No, it was just, it's more just the way it was delivered. But that whole flashback scene, this is something that, we've touched on this in a few other of our episodes, but the other thing this movie does, both with Bucky and with Steve, and also I think with Falcon and with Steve, is male friendships, camaraderie, that they can exist. And I'm aware the internet is out there, and people have all kinds of weird stuff. I'm not, but I like that there's just a genuine, Bucky and Steve, or just the Stan Lee cameo is great. I'm so fired. And the same thing though with the relationship that Steve forms with Sam. It's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah. No, and the relationship between Bucky and Steve is so well done in this series, and I like that they took that moment to show the roots of it, and They actually mirror that scene in Civil War in a couple spots in a really good way. And yeah, that's one of those relationships that I get annoyed when people decide to try and sexualize. You know, I know that the shippers are out there and they're going to have their thing, and you can fan fiction all you want. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but I dislike the vehemence at which some people try and sexualize such like strong male relationships.
Well, I think that there's, and this is I'll just say this because we could talk about. I don't want to get into this too deep, but the idea that human beings are like everything has to be sexual. Like there's this sexual undertone to like all close relationships. And it's just not how it actually works. And both with women and with men having just good strong bonds that have nothing to do with that. And I just it's nice that this movie is allows that to happen. So
we just had a cameo.
Yeah.
By an actor who was in Community, which the Russo brothers love to do that, and we'll see many more as these movies go on. And that particular one was the actor who played Abed. He was one of the main characters in Community. We see another cameo in Civil War, and then 2 in Endgame, and I think there's one in Infinity War. I just can't remember.
How much is this first Avengers uniform helped by the harness for his shield?
Right.
It's helped so much. I also feel like they
tightens it up so well.
Yeah, they probably took it in a little bit also, but it looks so much better. I mean, and again, I really love First Avenger, but he looks so much better in this uniform in this film than he did in First Avenger.
Oh yeah. I really enjoy the way that they they bring back the uniform. I think that it was a great idea. He's no longer in a stealth suit. He is the symbol that is Captain America once again. And he's kind of filling that role.
Yeah.
And I like how they evolve it. I personally think that Age of Ultron has his best suit. In the whole series.
It is a darn good suit.
The one in Endgame is really good.
But yeah, it's got kind of that like scale. I mean, they were trying to kind of go for that scale pattern from the comics, and I get that, but purely from just the tone of the colors and everything. You write that down on the top of your head. That's good. I feel like too Anthony Mackie's first kind of uniform here works really well too. It's a good combination of just it's like well tailored tactical gear.
I think it might have needed a helmet, to be honest.
Well, the fact he's not wearing a helmet is a little bit like you would wear a helmet, but he looks good. He's got to look good.
I like this actor. I think this is a really good little performance. He's very memorable, and I like that they brought him back in Age of Ultron.
Now, does this scene, this is a weird call out, does this scene remind you at all of the scene in Armageddon where they're going to detonate this shuttle on the asteroid, even though they haven't drilled the hole yet, and there's the military comes in and the NASA guys are kind of refusing to cooperate and trying to sap you know what I'm talking about at all?
I do, but I don't know. I'm not feeling quite the same thing from it.
It might have no reference at all, but it reminded me of it. I do love the line "Captain's orders."
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that they have this character who's obviously kind of a nerd. He can't stand up to this big, strong guy, but he is kind of willing to die for his convictions. And I don't know. I think it's a good moment. I like it.
Ooh. I do like the gun catch that he did.
Yeah,
when he
it's a good one. It's a weird gun, the gun that she uses.
It's like the SIG. It's a SIG, but with a red dot, and it's got the threaded barrel for a suppressor. It's just a very tacked out.
It's not just a threaded barrel though. Isn't it like a compensator?
It might be
an FNX Tactical 45.
Yeah. It's an overly showy gun.
It is. Because, I honestly thought that the guns in this movie are very interesting. A lot of them are very practical. The one that Rumlow uses throughout it, it's just a simple SIG P226, which is, my personal sidearm of choice. I have a California legal variant, unfortunately. But, Fury uses a Smith & Wesson. There's a custom 1911 in the thing. The most outlandish guns, I think, are like the little submachine gun, the Scorpion that Winter Soldier has on his back at the beginning, but that's because it was in the comics.
Yeah, it was in the comics, and they're trying to give it that little bit of a Russian, vibe, which, the Scorpion is a very Russian gun.
And then Falcon, that was the big, that was the one that was in all of the trailers. So, like, if they're shooting at you, they're bad. Which, again, annoyed me in the initial trailer, because I'm like, who's shooting at him? Who are the bad guys? Like, what is the enemy force that he's going to be facing? We just didn't know. And, of course, they couldn't reveal it, and I get that now, but it did not make for good advertising. This was a very difficult movie to cut a trailer for.
Yeah.
But Falcon here whips out these guns that, honestly, I kind of hate. They're these Steyr SPPs.
Yeah, it's like a modern Uzi-looking thing. I don't love them either.
More like a modern Mac-10.
Yeah, it works too.
But yeah,
it's a lot of flack for.
It's a small 9mm pistol. It's just weird. Oh, I love the flak guns, to be honest. I know that they're a little bit nuts, but
no, they look cool. It's the way that flak guns work. It is such a miracle that Sam survives flying around above that thing.
Right,
because he's got no armor of any kind. I mean, maybe a little bit around like his back, because like the pack itself would take a little bit, but it wasn't until Civil War that really got into the whole wings being like armor themselves, and him kind of at this point he's pretty vulnerable.
Okay, this right here, and I'm not even exaggerating. This, because I know that some of the things I've mentioned about being annoyed at in this movie have been jokes. This is actually the movie's biggest crime. They did not establish this technology ahead of time. You didn't see it used. You didn't see it experimented with. You had no context for how she could disguise herself as this. This is a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, and it wasn't set up in the TV show or anything either.
No, they later use it to actually really good effect in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they have a character who disguises herself as Ming-Na's character, and then she actually gets an electrical cable to the face, and it fuses to her. So she becomes kind of an evil, scarred version of Ming-Na. And I really like it, created some good martial arts sequences because Ming-Na's so talented.
I'm like, sorry, I'm like getting caught up watching this a little bit. I apologize.
Oh, no, absolutely. That's why I can just wax Rexodic about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I love the little action sequences that they give Falcon here. You're really showing, like, the good his suit can do. Oh, also, this scene, you can't really tell. His guns magically changed in that scene. He was suddenly firing Mac-10s.
Well, I'm sure
if you stop
the guns...
it and go frame by frame...
Yeah.
It goes to Mac-10s instead of the Steyrs.
I'm sure there's a lot of CG replacement for that kind of stuff. Working on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have appreciated if they had hinted at something, because there's nothing in the film that telegraphs in any way, shape, or form. Because telegraphing can definitely be a bad thing, but a certain amount of it, when it's done smartly and lightly, is actually really good. And they didn't do anything about her being able to get in and infiltrate.
If they had just had a scene earlier in the movie showing that technology existed. Like, if you're looking at Avengers, and there's that scene in the Avengers where, oh, Selvig just happened to build a flaw into the machine. Like, total bullshit Deus Ex Machina. But there's a deleted scene where he's having a discussion with Hawkeye while under the control of Loki that establishes that he can do something like that. And it creates context. There's no context for this magical disguise technology that Black Widow suddenly has.
Hey, we were just talking about this before we started recording. One of my biggest pet peeves is heat-seeking missiles that fly around like mini aircraft, chasing. It's because that does not exist. It's not how it works. Missiles can take slight turns and a little bit of correction, but they are not miniature aircraft.
Individual aircraft. Yeah. I like the use of a missile in order to blow the thing open with his little barrel roll. Oh my gosh, this right here. Okay. In the first one, you had that moment where the Hydra guy goes into the propeller of the bomb.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's like so nasty. And this movie decides to follow that up with something similar, and damn, is it dark. Oh yeah, this whole thing is just sad. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of these guys go down
boom!
here. Ooh, yeah, that's
right into the jet. Also, what kind of bullets is he firing that he's able to get through the canopy of a Quinjet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is obvious. I mean, again, a Terminator 2 here, right? Where he's grabbing the helicopter, killed the pilot, is sitting there through like broken glass. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, actually, interestingly enough, the way that it's filmed is the scene with him getting in there, the centering of it, the shot and everything is actually almost the exact same shot that they show in the first one when Captain America is taking control of the Valkyrie and he's about to go to, plunge it into the ice.
Okay.
They do mirror shots like that throughout this movie that are quite interesting. Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting here. Is Pierce stalling for time here? Is he genuinely thinking that like he might be able to convince Fury here?
I would think that
because it's a well acted scene and it's definitely got some gravity to it. But I always wonder: is Pierce actually thinking there's a shot where he can like turn Nick here, or is this he's trying to buy time?
I think this is him trying to buy time and opportunity. Because I don't think he could draw his phone and activate the badges without being shot down by somebody else. So I think this is him biding until his opportunity. Because you got this guy, he's just drawn down on him, right?
Yeah.
They're ready to put him down.
Yeah, but the guy that's holding the gun, I mean, well, Widow obviously is not this case, but the other guy is just a politician, so I wouldn't worry about him as much.
I don't know. Who knows what these politicians' backgrounds got?
This was interesting, the whole eye patch thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
love the idea of him keeping a retinal scan of his bad eye as something he could get around from behind.
Yeah. Well, again, one of those things that people just wouldn't think about.
I hate how they decided to give him his eye scar later with
Captain
with the cat. Marvel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I will defend about Captain Marvel that people crap on because I don't think it's as bad as people say without it being a good movie.
The first one?
But yeah.
The first one's not. It's not horrible.
You're the one who was telling me it was the worst of the movies.
No,
a year ago.
No, it's not the worst of all the movies. I don't think it's good. But it has plenty of moments that I find redeeming. It has
good things to it.
Yes.
While also being fundamentally flawed. But the whole thing with the cat being the one to scratch out his eye was just a terrible decision.
Oh, okay.
What?
No,
okay?
I was
waiting for you to say something.
No. It's just this is like just a brutal takedown of Falcon.
Yeah, he's just like the disrespect.
Oh man. Well, I always wondered if Falcon would have to deal with because they have showed the engines so close in the back there. If that would be, I do appreciate he had a parachute. Yeah, that is not enough time, by the way, to slow down enough for that landing. He would have landed harder. Let's put it that way.
Maybe his jets were slowing him down a little bit.
Maybe.
Also, did his hair suddenly change? I swear that his hair got a little bit longer in that scene. I wonder if it was a reshoot.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is something that's kind of, I think, accentuated for me having watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they show multiple different sequences throughout the series of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents dealing with the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. Almost very similar in the way that Star Wars keeps going back to Order 66, right?
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the show, they have they show the initial fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the inside and the mass confusion going on, but they meet other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents throughout the next couple seasons of the show, and it'll flash back to where they were during the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it all feels very much like that. So I'm watching this, and in my head, I'm going back to these other memories of these characters, and knowing what S.H.I.E.L.D's going through in the expanded universe. And it's dark, and it's intense, and it's a really epic thing in a terrible way. What do you think of this fight scene overall?
So, okay, I was just about to say, one thing I really appreciated, and it existed in the fight, on the interchange, but it also happens here, that it shows the when your soldiers shooting at Cap, so many of the people that shoot at Cap, they just keep shooting, they don't try to alternate or go around his shield. They just keep shooting at one spot. And there's an argument for people who are have training drilled into them. But I love the when he's shooting, kind of the up down side. He's trying to get around Cap's shield, and Cap is having to
very equilibrium gun kata.
It is, but it makes sense when you've got a guy with the offense, a guy with the defense. It's good. I do think the choreography isn't quite as strong here when it comes to just the moves, so to speak, but it's still really solid. I mean, I think here it's designed to be a little more emotional. The idea that Cap has something very specific he's got to get to. There literally is a ticking clock. He's got to get to this thing and put the chip in. So they threw kind of a plot device around the whole fight, which it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not as strong as the Freeway, but it is also an effective fight, and I think it has an emotional core to it that is effective. I've said effective more. Really?
I think it's a reshoot.
The whole thing?
I think that they didn't have, not the whole thing. I think they didn't have as long of a fight scene, and test viewers or producers or something you know what? No, we need more.
This I like because this is genuinely. I'm sorry. I like this because these are real moves. The hold. I know this isn't as visually exciting as kicking out, but the idea of when you get somebody in this position, doesn't matter how strong you are. If the guy that's holding you is at least as strong or almost as strong as you, you're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you see, that's the thing. I think that the majority of the fight was a lot more tame and calm, and then it ended up in that sequence we just saw now. But the stuff before that, with him throwing the shield around and he's shooting at him, and them having a little fight up on the upper deck and stuff like that, I think that was all reshot and extended to make a more complete fight scene. Because there's something very choppy, there's something very CG, and the choreography was fine, but it wasn't. But that was just it. It was just fine, where the rest of the choreography had been great up until then.
Yeah. Oh.
Also, apparently this here.
I was just gonna say I do like this. This is a little bit cliche, a little bit cheesy, but also I like it.
This commander here. With the Yume Fire when ready.
Oh yeah, he's
apparently a reference to Star Wars. With Tarkin ordering the destruction of Alderaan.
Interesting.
Or no, not Alderaan. Yavin 4.
Okay. Yeah, about to say.
Yeah.
Well, he says it in both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I do want to point out that they're not high enough to have the coverage that they're showing in this satellite photo. They're literally not high enough off the ground to have that kind of angle on as many. Yeah. It's fine though. If they're up as high as they would be, it would look too weird.
It also listed the president being in the Capitol building, which is really rare. You have Tony Stark at Avengers Tower. That was actually the first time you've ever seen Avengers Tower redressed for the Avengers. Fire when ready.
Well, that very calm. I mean, this is very the ticking clock, literally the last second. The hero just barely makes it. I mean, it's it's very.
It's cliche as hell.
It is, but it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I love this though. I didn't expect this, and they didn't telegraph this ahead of time, but it makes sense.
Oh, this is.
And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool.
Well, and it also, this is the kind of thing where you don't have to telegraph it. This just makes perfect sense. Well, of course, this would work.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they've reassigned the targets. Oh, no.
I do
just
like
get that satisfaction at the dread of the bad guys.
Yeah. These helicarriers do take a decent pounding before they actually start going down.
No, they show just how effective these things would be and how tough they are. And I love the scenes of them crashing. I just think it's great.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty good CG. Like, I mean, I suspect there's a little bit of practical work happening, like layered on, but it is effective. Yeah, when they go down, I mean, the smoke, the explosions look good when they come down into the water, like the one that really goes down at an angle. It looks good.
Oh yeah, it's some of the best special effects that they've got for the whole series. I mean that's unfair to say, to be honest, but I still really like it. And then, okay, this right here, you have one shot, actually really good reaction to being shot, very accurate reaction to being shot. Second shot, complete Hollywood BS of him being thrown backwards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the whole, when somebody, anytime somebody flies like that, because if you're familiar with Newton's physics, it means that the person firing the gun would have had that much energy directed back at them at the same time. That's not how it works.
Right.
It's fine, though. I mean, it's just, there's definitely a Hollywoodization of things that at this point, the reality actually would look kind of dumb because our expectations have been set so firmly in a certain direction that if you made it too realistic, it actually would look worse. And some people hate that that's true, but it is still true.
Yeah. Like, I've seen videos of people getting shot, just something that comes with, especially when you were training to work in law enforcement and stuff like that, you end up seeing these things. And so it just, the way that it works would not look good on screen outside of something like a Scorsese movie, where it's just like, you literally have to think about a puppet with its strings being cut. That's one of the most common descriptions being used for people dying of gunshots in books and stuff, because that's what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
It's just, they just drop. So when he gets that first shot and his initial reaction of like, ugh, and he just looks like stunned and he's about to fall, that was perfect. And then they have the second shot and he gets thrown back like a ragdoll.
Yeah. Now this, again, the one helicarrier that's kind of barely holding on is of course the one that they're on, and you know, this you almost forgot about this fight for a minute.
Yeah, I know, but I like this though.
This is good.
Wonky CG, you know, but I hate this. Like his escape.
Yeah, the whole
I think
the helicopter.
Stupid. They really didn't need to do it that way at all.
No, you could have just
like,
had.
I don't understand why they chose to do this.
Yeah, it's also just one of those like it's so convenient. This is so implausible. You know.
Yeah, and like imagine if this had gone wrong and he hit those blades like. Mesh.
Oh man.
I do like this line though. I genuinely think that is the entire reason they kept on with that scene.
Just for that line.
Yeah. Also, how did she suddenly get into her Black Widow catsuit?
Yeah, she had it in the locker, you know.
And she chose to unzip it all the way down too.
You know,
it's like the most sexual thing in this movie is her cleavage in that scene.
Now this scene, I love it. It is cheesy, and it's a little melodramatic. But the idea that
this
Steve,
is like Shakespearean almost.
Yeah, but this is also I think is Steve. He's done what he needs to do, and at this point he is not going to fight his friend anymore. I mean, this is kind of a maybe not exactly, but kind of like Luke and Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. You know, just I'm not going to fight you. I'm done. You know,
I think it was inspired by that for sure. Genuinely.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight you. Dropping the shield.
Just, you know. I wonder how they got the shield back. Somebody just down in the Potomac with a metal detector.
Here though, man, the hits, because it's with his metal hand, like his metal arm. Oh man, super soldier serum or not, that's doing some damage. Oh, but just
Dude, you think about how strong his metal arm is, right? And the damage that he does with it throughout these movies. And then you have to think about that scene in Civil War where Spider-Man just casually catches it. Really puts into perspective how strong Spider-Man is in these movies.
Yeah. Well, you get into the whole, whenever you get into verses, conversations, right? That's always where where writers, they don't help us because for the sake of moments, they throw all kinds of monkey wrenches into our, but there's this feat which demonstrates this, but then there's this feat which demonstrates this, and then he had a problem doing this, which means it actually, I think writers.
Did you ever read Stanley's quote about verses?
Oh, not specifically, but I think that writers secretly just love to troll fanboys in coffee shops.
Oh,
and,
sure.
And internet forums.
Oh, sure. But Stan Lee was just like, people always ask me who would win in a fight between this person and this person. The answer is whoever I want to win in that fight.
Yes, that is the correct
find
answer.
Something. We'll find a reason. Oh, he's been weakened because of this. Oh, he's found something like this. We could do it whichever way. If I want Mr. Fantastic to be able to beat Thor, guess what? He's gonna be able to beat Thor. Yeah. That's not the exact quote, but it was something like that. He was having so much fun with it.
That's also how writing works. Now, good writing will find plausible reasons for the outcome, but writing is all about overcoming obstacles, right?
One of the things that I think that they did really well in Batman vs. Superman was the actual fight between Batman vs. Superman. He sets up a gauntlet for Superman to just walk through. That's not the part
I'm sorry. I had to do it.
He sets up the gauntlet for Superman to just be walking through, so Superman feels really confident.
Yeah.
So that he can then get him with the kryptonite gas. And once the gas goes off, Superman just wasn't expecting it because he'd already gotten through all this other crap Batman is throwing at him, and suddenly Batman's got the upper hand, and then he can get to the spear, and that was actually really well done.
Yeah. Well, again, the one thing that those movies, and I actually really like Batman in that film, and the Snyder cut of Justice League Batman is also really solid, but they do showcase a very intelligent Bruce Wayne, which I love.
Yeah. Here we have the Trouble Man soundtrack coming back as referenced at the beginning and showing where everybody's going after the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a slight incongruency, which annoys me, in that they have them already moving on to this stuff, but then later they show Rumlow being medevaced. I'm like, that would have happened first, like right here.
Yeah. This would have been, really, way before we were interviewing for the CIA and Stark Industries.
Right. It was a little out of sorts, a little out of order. Fury having a stash.
Of course,
like a secret stash, not a mustache.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
I actually know exactly which safe that is.
Oh, nice. I do like that he's got 1911. He's got just an old school. I really, really wish they had delved into the fallout of what this hearing would have done. Because the info dump that she does at the end of this, they really... maybe there's a Marvel Plus show that have explored this that I missed. But
some of it is brought up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but the only other time that it's majorly referenced to my awareness is actually the beginning of Civil War, in that this info dump that she did online is what directly led Zemo to be able to find the Winter Soldier files in order to craft his plan in that movie.
Yeah. Because can you imagine in real life, just imagine Reddit, that community combing through. Oh my gosh! But they never
like what they're doing with the Epstein files right now, or the 69,000 pages of CIA files that were released concerning the assassination of Kennedy.
Yeah,
like they're still combing through that right now.
Yeah, but I wish they had followed up on this thread a little bit more.
I think that there was a plan to, but this is also when they were finalizing the Infinity War plans. Also, I know exactly which type of fuel he was using there. He was using the Zippo brand yellow bottle.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Um,
Having the eye patch on fire is a nice little cinematic touch there.
yeah, it was a good shot.
Yeah.
But I think that they wanted to do a little bit more because I think they were originally planning on stretching things out, but they decided to rush things a little bit after Age of Ultron. And I think that Captain America Civil War, in particular, was a rush job. I don't think that was supposed to be a Captain America movie. I think that was supposed to be Avengers 3, and there was supposed to be a different third Captain America movie.
Do you think that they struggle, or they just, I mean, because this happens with a couple of films, but they, after the Avengers and just people loving the team up so much that they really struggled to give any hero their true, like a true solo movie. Like Iron Man 3, because even Ant-Man, you've got Hank Pym coming in, and you've got, Wasp before she's Wasp, you've got Hulk coming into the Thor Ragnarok, you've got, obviously Age of Ultron, and you've got, in Captain Marvel, you got Nick Fury there. It's just they really never gave Cap his own movie again. I mean, granted, this is still very much a Cap-centric story, but I mean, you got Black Widow here, you got Nick Fury here, you got the introduction of Winter Soldier and Falcon. I mean, you got a lot. People talk about Civil War as being like basically an Avengers movie. This is a pretty heavily packed movie too, as far as secondary characters.
It is, but it still felt like it was just Captain America's story.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously not as dense as Civil War. I mean, the big one's Tony.
I actually think that this is the perfect shared universe movie. This is the one, it brings in things that it establishes new things for upcoming, but you don't necessarily need to have seen everything else. So, I'm really happy. Also, everybody needs to note that Nick Fury's headstone contained Ezekiel 25:17, and I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I shall lay my vengeance upon them, which was rewritten into an entirely different quote for the movie Pulp Fiction, which Samuel L. Jackson was best known for quoting.
Oh, yeah.
And which says that the path of the righteous man, blah, 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 which does not exist in the Bible.
These are good credits,
Just
by
figured
the way.
Yeah, the very duology look of them,
Well, I'm a sucker for silhouettes too. I like a good silhouette, and it's cool. Also, there's a lot of kind of somewhat like patriotic imagery and kind of the Art Deco style from the first Captain America movie. It's just there's like a bunch of intersecting things in these credits that I love as far as style goes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that they're great. I like the minimalism also. It's a favorite of mine.
Yeah, it's funny because as much as we've had plenty of things that we nitpicked about this film, I still just freaking love this movie. I will watch this movie anytime somebody wants to watch it.
Same. This is one of those movies that, like, my family has this thing where if we're getting together for a holiday, my dad will just throw on a movie. And I'll just sit there and like, I need to get ahead of the curve. So if people are coming over to our place, like, I'll like throw this on before anybody gets there because nobody will argue about it, and my dad won't be the one to like choose for me.
Your dad's got pretty good taste
on this thing, and I'm like, oh god. He doesn't have bad taste in movies, but it's just not what. If it's in my house, I control the movies.
That's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of these credits are really good, and I like the way that they do the symbolism and the kind of black and white and red. And then here we have a teaser for.
And this is definitely like right into Ultron.
Yeah, and this even in just feels so much more Joss Whedon, like the lighting, and the use of the little blue LEDs and everything. It just you can.
It doesn't look like it's in the same movie.
Difference.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's in the same movie at all.
Loki's scepter and supposedly this, the Mind Stone. That is one of the things about this movie that's a little strange to me.
All right.
With Winter Soldier does not feel like it belongs in the same universe as Doctor Strange or Age of Ultron or what's it? Like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Well, that especially that now that those are officially a shared universe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have they confirmed that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is in the same? He's in a different multiverse, right? He's not in 616.
He is, but yeah, he's not in 616, but he will be.
Yeah.
And this isn't even 616. This is Universe 199999. 616 is the main continuity thing, but Feige is obsessed with trying to make this 616, and he's never going to get his way.
Wait a minute. So okay, so I've only heard snippets of that. So this is, I thought 616 is the main MCU, like the prime. Okay, it's not.
No, 616 is the main universe of Marvel Comics, the one that they always come back to. The Marvel before any of this, it's like it's Earth number, because Earth 616 is where all of the main MCU took place. Or not MCU, all the main comics took place. The MCU came along, and Feige really wanted it to be 616. He uses it a few times. It was scribbled on the chalkboard in Thor: The Dark World. It's used by Jake Gyllenhaal fraudulently in Spider-Man: Far From Home. But according to the according to the CEO of Marvel, before it had been brought out by Disney and everything like that, the MCU was going to be Earth 199999. The official designation Marvel Comics gave to the MCU.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny because I do forget sometimes. I mean, this is going to sound like heresy to the right to certain people, but I forget sometimes that Feige only runs the MCU. He's not like in charge of Marvel.
No.
Yes, I mean, even though Marvel is owned by Disney, like the entire company, it's not just Marvel Films or Marvel Studios. Like Disney owns all of Marvel, right? Like the comics, everything, like the entire company. Yeah, but there is somebody still running Marvel proper, like.
Yes.
Right, like whoever's running that branch of Disney essentially, and that's not Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is only the producer in charge of the MCU, right?
Yeah. Let me see here.
Yeah. I mean, Stan Lee hasn't been officially part of Marvel in decades, right? I mean,
no, especially not since he died.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know that, but I mean, like, even with all the cameos, he wasn't doing any official work for them past like the 90s, right?
He was still writing some comics and having some influence into the 2000s at least.
When did Jack Kirby pass away?
Oh, I don't know.
Because he's the other big name most people know of at Marvel Comics. Him and Stan Lee.
94.
94. Okay, so his influence would have tapered off.
Yeah,
much
also,
earlier.
Jack Kirby was weird.
A lot of those guys were.
Let's see. Well, the president of Marvel Entertainment since 2017 has been Dan Buckley. Okay. The chief creative officer is Kevin Feige.
Of Marvel, like as a whole?
Yeah.
Wow.
Marvel Entertainment.
Okay.
As a subsidiary.
This is totally... Sorry, we're not even talking about the movie anymore. Do you have any idea how, like, are comics themselves doing well right now, or are they still really struggling to stay relevant?
I don't know. They actually had a large uptick during COVID.
I would believe that. Yeah, I'm assuming most of them are sold digitally now versus buying
yeah, there's
comics.
some subscription-based things, but that's actually one of the things that they've done fairly interestingly is that they've made the whole comic collecting thing very similar to like Magic the Gathering and One Piece and Pokemon cards and stuff. They want to encourage you to be buying the physical because there's a retroness to it. There's a collectability to it.
Oh yeah.
And so some comics are doing pretty well on that. I know that DC is doing okay right now. They have their new Absolute universe that they've been doing. I hate it so much. I think that it's awful and just horrible, but a lot of people really like it because it's dark and gritty and dramatic and gross. But I can't speak to the the current state of the business, but I know that it's had some resurgence lately, and people also like using it as talking points for short form social media like TikTok, and like break down this character in this comic and stuff like that. So there's an audience.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't picked up a physical comic in a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And here we're getting into the final
we're almost to
sequence.
That. Oh.
Which does have a nice little thing. You'll notice that the Captain America mannequin is now gone. Because the suit got stolen.
Yeah, we can't just have a naked mannequin.
But they use they use a lot of the same camera angles from previous in the movie, from when Steve was in there, mirroring it with the Winter Soldier, with Bucky. And at this time, I think that they were planning on having Bucky be the one to transition into the role of Captain America after Steve, just like he did in the comics.
Yeah. I know that this is like a whole longer conversation, but I do think if they had gone that route, it would have been more successful. And I'm not saying that because it's a race thing. I think just as a character, it's more interesting for Bucky to transition to that character.
I think that would have been a more interesting way to go. It would have been more fitting. It's what people wanted and expected. I also think that, and this is kind of just a sad state of things type of deal, is that I think that people took the role going to Anthony Mackie instead of Sebastian Stan as being motivated only by race, and thus diminishing the meaningfulness of it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the biggest issue that they ran into with that is that they made Captain America Brave New World, and they made it suck.
Oh yeah, it's the best way to shut up your critics is to make a good movie. And it's funny because every now and then you think, all right, there's so many examples of amazing films. Is it really that hard? Apparently it is. It still is really hard, regardless of how many filmmakers make it look easy. Because
the amount of reshoots, the bad CGI, the fact that they took a super fun and actor, the guy who played Stearns in The Incredible Hulk, and they turn him into the big brainy character of the leader.
Yeah.
And instead of him being energetic and fun like he was in the Hulk, they just have him stand there like a zombie and just say smart things because he's super smart now. It's so like dull, and it wasn't fun or charming, and we already knew that the actor was fully capable of that. We knew that the character was, and then you have all of this bad CG. You're shoehorning in a Red Hulk vibe because, oh man, Harrison Ford was so good in that movie. He genuinely acted well, and there's just the whole movie came out so janky, and even had some good action sequences. Yeah. But it just like they were so close to something great, yet so dang far.
Yeah.
Like
I do love Harrison Ford said it. I forget which interview he was being interviewed, and they asked him, how he managed to get through, all of the dots on his face and yelling, and he just very seriously looks right at the guy interviewing him and says, "That's what the money's for." Just like it's so perfectly Harrison Ford. It just like.
Oh, there was this one interview that I saw him give the other day where somebody was just like, "So how did you do with how do you feel about this type of role where you're playing like an aging man angry at the end of his career and all this stuff?" And he's staring at the interviewer like, "Do you know what you just said? You're just describing me."
Yeah.
You're just like,
it's serious right now?
Fun.
It was fun. Oh.
Yeah. So it's just
He's a treasure.
That movie just made me angry.
It should have been, because again, Anthony Mackie is a genuinely talented, fun guy with a great amount of energy and brings a lot of charisma. and again, as much as I think from a character point of view, having Bucky transition and dealing with trust issues and just the weight of living up to Steve and all those things, I think it would have been really interesting. But okay, if you're going to make that decision, that's fine. You have an actor who can do it. Anthony Mackie is more than capable of carrying a movie, I think, as far as his charisma and stuff go. But you still have to. The best of the movie has to be good. You still have to write things well. You still have to stage things well, and you still, my gosh, if you're really going to try to wing it when it comes to the script and redoing half of it halfway through, it's just stop. It's there for every success story of a movie that is literally cobbled together on set and turns into a classic, like I'm thinking, Harrison Ford, The Fugitive. Like literally, they figured that out as they were. Which one? Gladiator, yeah. But there's also hundreds of examples of movies you've never heard of because they're awful, because that's what they did. And it's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because that, yeah. Anyways, it was a weird year. This was, well, I'm saying this. It was a couple days ago. 2025 was a weird year for the MCU because Brave New World should have been good. Thunderbolts was good. But it just
should have been successful, but
it should have been. Yeah, it wasn't successful. And Fantastic Four was fine, but
I think that should classify as a good movie. It was a solid movie.
No, it was.
It just wasn't as exceptional as it should have been.
Well, and it's I don't have a whole lot of bad things to say about it, but it was not the kind of movie to become a new cultural touchstone for like these heroes. And it needed to be more than just a good Fantastic Four movie. It needed to be the second coming of Iron Man to do what it needed to do. And
they made the mistake, okay? They made the mistake that I will forever harp on because I freaking hate it, is that they added in Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the single worst thing that has ever happened to the Fantastic Four. Because they make everything about the freaking baby, and then when he's not a baby, he's a little boy, but he has the powers of a god, and that creates all kinds of other problems that just aren't interesting. Yeah. I hate the character of Franklin Richards.
Yeah. But we will get to that movie in a year or two. So for tonight, though, this was a good movie, and it was fun to watch this.
It was.
We do have we have a little bit of a surprise coming up. A series that is special to me, and I'm special to you. I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to give it away, but please come back next week because I doubt many people will anticipate what we're going to do next. We're looking forward to it.
This is going to be an odd one, and a rare one, and a weird one, and it is special. Like special to Brian, special to me. It's also special in other ways.
Yeah.
And when I say special,
anyway, yes, it'll also be harder to watch. There's your last hint. So, but we'll see you then. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
There's doors and corners, kid. If you don't clear the room, if you don't come in slow, that room will